know who the cowboy is?
Not a clue.
In any case, we agree that he deserves our best treatment. Right?
My friend, we'll have to agree. You gave us the best gift of all!
The scent of uncertainty in the air. I love it! Let's go! We relish making decisions. We delight in making our opinions count! And now that I'm in control, this game is in our hands. So, it's your call.
From the rooftops, from the ceilings, or a front line rushing. Thought I close on, feeling lethal. You better take cover, make no mistake. I'm rising to the top, cause I'm moving my way. In line for or the edge of a blade. I'm calling all the shots, la da da. And the world is falling to the ground. I'll be ready for the fire. Make it wild, let it free. I'll be ready for the march of victory. Make it wild, let it free. Never get it, 'cause I rewrite history.
My past has been a mystery, and I didn't want to know, so I didn't ask. I have always had a happy life with my mom and stepdad. But things changed after they got divorced. I still miss him. I don't remember how it all started, why I first ran, or what kept me going. But I remembered the wind blowing in my face, the adrenaline rushing through my veins, and everything just got better. Something in me has awakened. I am not sure whether I control it or it controls me, but it feels right.
For years, we brought justice to our city. We made mistakes, fought amongst ourselves. Many of us fell along the way.
I almost admire your perseverance, Tyson. You and I could have been a great team.
You'll never put your hands on my research. This ends today. You need to fight back! Sonya is controlling you!
No, old friend. She freed me.
Okay guys, we did it. Now it's time to break into the Telosium generator room.
Telosium, huh? The powerful and unstable energy we need.
I must say, seems like a trap.
Not just seems. Definitely is.
And we're going in like this?
Of course. We need energy.
And I'm not in the mood to recharge in an outlet.
Well done. Was easier than we thought.
Every time you open your mouth, something bad happens.
Ouch. That hurt. Remember, this mouth is ours. Do you know who the cowboy is?
Not a clue.
In any case, we agree that he deserves our best treatment, right?
My friend, we'll have to agree. You gave us the best gift of all!
The scent of uncertainty in the air. I love it! Let's go! We relish making decisions. We delight in making our opinions count! And now that I'm in control, this game is in our hands. So, it's your call.
From the rooftops, from the ceilings, or a frontline rusher. Follow close, I'm feeling lethal. You better take cover. Make no mistake, I'm rising to the top, cause I'm moving my way. In line for or the edge of a blade. I'm calling all the shots, la da da. In the world.
My past has been a mystery, and I didn't want to know, so I didn't ask. I have always had a happy life with my mom and stepdad. But things changed after they got divorced. I still miss him. I don't remember how it all started, why I first ran, or what kept me going. But I remembered the wind blowing in my face, the adrenaline rushing through my veins, and everything just got better. Something in me has awakened. I am not sure whether I control it or it controls me, but it feels right.
For years, we brought justice to our city. We made mistakes, fought amongst ourselves. Many of us fell along the way.
I almost admire your perseverance, Tyson. You and I could have been a great team.
You'll never put your hands on my research. This ends today. You need to fight back! Sonya is controlling you!
No, old friend. She freed me.
Okay guys, we did it. Now it's time to break into the Telosium generator room.
Telosium, huh? The powerful and unstable energy we need.
I must say, seems like a trap.
Not just seems. Definitely is.
And we're going in like this?
Of course. We need energy.
And I'm not in the mood to recharge in an outlet.
Well done. Was easier than we thought.
Every time you open your mouth, something bad happens.
Ouch. That hurt. And remember, this mouth is ours. Do you know who the cowboy is?
Not a clue.
In any case, we agree that he deserves our best treatment, right?
My friend, we'll have to agree. You gave us the best gift of all!
The scent of uncertainty in the air. I love it! Let's go! We relish making decisions. We delight in making our opinions count! And now that I'm in control, this game is in our hands. So, it's your call.
From the rooftops, from the ceilings, or a frontline rushing. Thought I close on, feeling lethal. You better take cover. Make no mistake, I'm rising to the top, cause I'm moving my way. Heading line for or the edge of a blade. I'm calling all the shots, la da da. In the world.
My past has been a mystery, and I didn't want to know, so I didn't ask. I have always had a happy life with my mom and stepdad. But things changed after they got divorced. I still miss him. I don't remember how it all started, why I first ran, or what kept me going. But I remembered the wind blowing in my face, the adrenaline rushing through my veins, and everything just got better.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show. This is a Free Fire USA Championship 2025, and we are back for week 2 of the group stage. This time around, another set of teams will be taking the spotlight as we have Group B joining us this weekend on the race for the spot in the knockout stage. On desk right now, I am Neptune the Gentleman Garcia with my brother, the Mustachio AJ.
It's gonna be yet another good day, Neptune. Last week, we saw some unbelievable stuff, right? Day 1, we saw the dinosaurs sleeping on the competition. Day 2, we understood why we do not mess with dinosaurs and why we are very thankful they have gone extinct already. This week, we have got a brand new lineup of teams, but of course, they will be competing against the dinosaurs if they manage to be a cut above the rest. At the end of the 2 days this week, we will throw all of their points together and we'll see exactly who the top 12 teams is that moves on to the next stage of the competition. But once again, in order to be able to complete that, brother, we need to go through 8 games for today, for tomorrow, and I cannot wait.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, for the 8 games, this is where they catch up to the points. And, well, it's the top 18 that they are aiming for. So hopefully they did their homework, watch last week's broadcast to find out what tactics they're going to bring in right now. Because that is the advantage when you're joining in a different set of group a little bit later in this stage.
Yeah, apologies. Yes, top 18, not the top 12 yet. I'm skipping over the next stage already. We are looking for the top 18 at the end of the day, which actually makes this a little bit more easier, right? You guys will be able to see the lineup of teams in a little bit. It's quite an early day here in Malaysia, but I don't think it's very early there in the US. We have a couple of teams who have not managed to make the cutoff time to jump on into the lobby, so that's a little bit unfortunate for them. But of course, if they can pull off a T-Rex tomorrow, it will be yet another phenomenal week. It'll be yet another week where we lose our minds for sure, Neptune.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, for those of you wondering why we keep saying T-Rex, because they're just the team who managed to grab 4 booyahs out of all 4 matches in the final day of the previous week. So, yeah definitely they are the predator at this point from Group A, and we're going to find out in a bit who will be the predator and if they will be the apex predator once they get into the knockout stage, because we have a few teams that I mean, I know we don't have any information right here yet because we haven't seen them play, but I do know that talents out there, the players out there, will be able to match up with what some of the teams from Group A had offer from last week.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And of course, this is the prize pool that they are all fighting for. $30,000 on the line, and the biggest slice of this pie is $10,000 here, Neptune. And of course, 10 to 12, you walk away with $1,000, which means everybody in the grand finals walks away with something. So the hustle needs to be strong here, even up to the next stage, the top 18 teams. There's no guarantee just yet, so they need to be really careful.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's one thing that they need to be doing right now, because survivability is the factor that leads to success in terms of Free Fire. So if they will be able to maintain themselves in a higher placement point every match, then they might be able to be part of the grand finals and get a piece of this pie. So really looking forward to how Group B is going to perform. And this is our timeline right now. The group stage is happening, or started from last weekend and continues on up until this weekend. And then from July 5th to the 6th, just after the 4th of July, we go into knockout stage, and then that's where we find the top 12 that will be jumping in onto the grand finals on the 12th of July.
Yeah, it's not Boxing Day just yet, but right after the fireworks, we will be knocking out a couple of more teams to get the top 12, like you said, on the 12th of July. So 12 and 12, coincidence? I think not. But of course, the teams out here, they really do need to hustle in terms of catching up with the strategies of the other teams. And this is something that you've mentioned already last week, Neptune, that Group B is a little blessed. Group B got to see what worked out, what didn't work out for Group A. And this is the lineup of teams that we've got in here today. Motion Gang, CDG, FFUSC, On Style, The Real G, I really like that name, NA Level F, CLG, Tonio, Six Locks, as well as Don Chui.
Yeah, I mean, we are being shown 10 teams, but hopefully by tomorrow we will be seeing the remaining 2 teams to complete the 24 teams to join us on the group stage right now. But again, these teams will have their chance to get all those points. Looking forward to who will be going in and join the first 12 teams that we have on our screen right now. Again, T-Rex taking that lead, 147, but Rosario Central, not far behind. The same goes with RNKTZ, because they did perform well on the first day of last week.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And of course, Rosario Central, 2 days back-to-back, we did see very decent performance from them. RNKTZ as well, Abandonados. You saw a lot of performance from these teams. But T-Rex, man, once again, just a single day, all 4 booyahs grabbed in 1 day of play. And of course, you know, in this group stage, we only have got 4 games in a day. So that was just total dominance, all out wrecking ball. T-Rex came out of the gates, burst in, and nobody managed to catch up with them, right? At the end of the day, of course, they bulldozed their way all the way towards the top. But of course, we want to also focus on the right-hand side of our screen. Teams like Gavilanes, BBC News, Dark Hunters, these guys are in a lot of risk because they are not playing anymore. They are just sitting by the sidelines, hoping and praying nobody overtakes their points. And those are not a lot of points to overtake them.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, hoping and praying, and then later on towards the end, they might be crying because you know how it is. You didn't there's a lot of regrets if you didn't make all those points. But going into the match schedule right now, there will be no difference from what we've seen from last week. Both Group A and B will be experiencing the same line of maps. And this time, for day number 1, we have Bermuda, Solara, Nextera, as well as Kalahari for this day. And then by next week, it will be a different set of maps.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And of course, we all know the good old Bermuda, but Solara has been a huge game changer for us here thus far. Teams that usually do guarantee a lot of points are not able to perform as well. But out here in FFUSC, you know, we are starting off with a fresh new slate. But what we do not refresh is the point system. Every time you hit the booyah, you walk away with 12 points. And then, of course, 9 points for that second place. You will have to deduct 1 point for each and every single consecutive spot that you get on the placement. But 11 and 12 gets you absolutely nothing, guys. Eliminations, though, 1 point for each and every single one of them.
Definitely. I mean, we have the placement point that has a cap, but for elimination, there's no cap at all. You can increase that. If you might be able to get like 12 points before being eliminated 12, that so be it. I mean, if you can do it, we've seen that happen from some of the players like Escolta from Rosario Central. So if you can snipe everyone from the first part of the match, then we might be seeing you still on the top of the leaderboard.
Oh, dude, you just had to remind me of Escolta, man. 15 eliminations. Man was a monster with that sniper, right? And he's just 16 years old. If this is what he can do at such a young age, just breaking through the limit for pro plays, I cannot wait to see exactly what else he brings to the table. But of course, we will not be able to see Escolta in performance just yet till next week. So, and that's absolutely fine, right? Because I can't have Escolta wrecking and breaking each and every single team out here during the group stage. Thank God we've split them up into 2 groups here now.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, imagine like how demeaning it would be if we still have Escolta right here and they're just introduced into the group. So they might be demotivated at some point because of how great he did on day number 1, but it didn't matter for T-Rex from last week. I know we are talking about the Group A right now, but it's just how it is. Like, if you will be able to come back after, like, not performing for day number 1, similar to what we've seen from T-Rex, then you still has a chance. The teams right now that we have from Group B has a chance to make that run.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And of course, like I think you rightfully pointed out that we keep highlighting Group A because that's the only group that has been in performance thus far. But we do get to roughly see what the meta is like here out in the USA, right? Yes, North America, a lot of non-meta characters still being used in their active and passive skills. And I was actually quite surprised that some of them were actually working out. So the US might be onto something here. We want to see if that continues on with the teams in Group B as well. We saw a few of those off-meta characters, but still with the teams kind of walking away with massive numbers of eliminations, more than 20 eliminations in a game. So I guess it just works in this region. I'm quite curious to see if we see a little bit of a repeat of that or whether that's just a Group A thing now.
Yeah, I mean, if this is something that the region has to offer, then it would be something good that we can see as well when they are on the mix. But we are looking at something good as well, not only for the players, but for the viewers. We have a giveaway for everyone. But take note, this is just for the first 100 survivors.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And of course, there'll be 4 more chances today to get the item. Only 1 item per player, and each item is only available during this broadcast. So if you are watching the replay, I'm sorry, my friend, you will not be able to redeem anything at all. But of course, once again, like Neptune said, only the first 100 players can redeem the item when we flash the code. So you all better be ready.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, make sure that you are ready. We don't have any matches just yet, but I'm pretty sure you're excited to get that code. Again, whoever will or is watching right now, make sure you are prepared once we get the code up on the screen.
I mean, yeah, you want to take that screenshot and then you slowly want to punch it in. You know, I watched this, I saw this meme once, or, you know, some sort of an article where a live streamer was holding up his phone and he had a code that he wanted to redeem. He just showed it to his audience and then he went back to his phone and he pressed redeem. but someone had already copied his code and redeemed it already, okay? So we've got some really fast typers out there, and it's only available for the first 100 people, and we've got quite a number of people watching this broadcast on all of the platforms out there in the world. So y'all better be fast, and once again, only 4 times. So if you're not quick enough, if you're not part of the top 100 that hits that code first in, you're not going to be able to walk away with the item. And this is why we absolutely love Garena, right? Because just last week, we were seeing so many comments in the comment section on YouTube asking for these codes. We didn't have them, but week 2, it seems like they're delivering. I can't wait. I think I'm going to be on standby as well because I want some of these items now.
All right. Well, let's see now. Because I guess we are ready as well to give out a few more items. So let's give them one set of codes. Yeah, right now, bro. That's how generous Garena is. So there you have it. The first code for the day.
Come on. They are now just teasing us at this point of time. I'm sorry, chat, right? We've given you the code. We have no idea what this code is, so y'all have to redeem it to see exactly what is in there. It's a little bit of a surprise. It's a goodie bag for y'all, right? So hop on in there, get yourself surprised, but I'm pretty sure you guys will be very, very delighted to see exactly what you redeem.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, a lot, though, is now ready in there. But speaking of ready, the teams is also getting set up. Again, we have 10 teams showing up for today, and we have Real G, NA Level F, we have Motion Gan, On Style, Don Chui, CLG, Tonyo, and not quite sure what CHPZ means, but we were going to find that out later on. We have CDG, as well as 5-star or FBS, and 6 locks.
Yeah, I'm actually quite curious as to what that actually means as well. But at the end of the day, these are all just letters to us at this point of time. I want to see how well they do out there on the battlefield. I see 18 Duck. This looks like a little bit of a remix from Asian. I was expecting to see 18 Duck play for Asian, but of course we get to see him a part of the Rail G. Are they the Rail Gs out there though, or are they going to get locked down by 6 locks? We'll have to wait and see. But at the end of the day, of course, we are looking to see exactly who can pull away the 5 stars gameplay. You know, so much of puns we can pull out here with these team names, Neptune. Because as of this point of time, that's all they are to us, right? Just team names. And of course, we've got the players out there as well. But in terms of highlighting them, I want to see them out there on the battlefield. I want to fall in love with them, just like how we fell in love with Escolta on that sniping play.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, teams right here has a really good chance to be get all the hearts, get all the likes from not only us casters, but also from viewers out there. And also take note that it's not just the English. We also have a Spanish broadcast that we are simultaneously broadcasting or on live right now on the platforms that we have available for North America. So again, these are the team lineups. We are just waiting for them to be set up and buckle their seatbelts to go in for the flight, because this is going to be a banger. Especially the first map that we have is an OG map where everyone started as a survivor in Free Fire.
Oh yeah, absolutely, man. And of course, we were highlighting quite a number of players earlier on, but player JK as well from T-Rex. I mean, we're going to keep on saying T-Rex for quite a lot of time. Player JK did manage to level up with the 15 eliminations in one game, but it was just not as impressive as Escolta, because a majority of the Escolta eliminations came through on his double snipe setup, right? So that's unbelievable. I want to see who's the super sniper out that day. I want to see who's that menacing shotgun player as well. The M590 has been popping off quite a little bit, but not a lot of players here in North America are favoring the CQCs. We do see a lot of sniping, long-range plays, some of those marksmen being pulled out as well. But the M590, it's literally a cannon in your hands, Neptune. Not only do you get a shotgun shot with multiple bullets flying towards your opponent, but it also explodes once it meets the connection of its target. So I'm pretty curious if or not we're going to be seeing a little bit more of that day.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, well, we all know for a fact that some regions will bring in some tactics. And, we might have seen a lot of aggressive gameplay from Southeast Asia, but in North America, we are looking into more tactical gameplay.
Yes.
That does the
Yes.
long range, the sniper. That's where they are really popping off. But looking at the list right now, we are seeing some teams as well that has full on, if not most of them, are rushers. So these are the teams that we are looking or we're having our eyes on later on, because if we have rushers, a full team that is a rusher, then definitely they will be getting either that shotgun M590 or probably SMG as well. But one thing is for sure, MP40 is something that will be used quite a lot because of how I mean, the MP5 rather is not that like hard hitting anymore.
Yeah, dude, they scammed me on the MP5, man, all right? When the new patch update came out, that gun was broken, all right? I was not losing a single match with the MP5. I was just capping everyone in the level 3 of the gun. But, you know, very soon after, I found out that they had nerfed the gun without saying anything. I know it's not official, but the gun just doesn't hit as hard. But the MP40, you're right? You know, the damage out of it is super solid. Only issue with the MP40 is you've got a very small mag. So if you don't have the right capability here when it comes to the aims, and yeah, you do have a little bit of, you know, aim assist in Free Fire, but that is not all it, right? Because your opponents have got aim assist as well. So the playing field is all equal. You just need to be really, really quick. And the quickest figures out there will be able to get those eliminations, walk away. And I like the fact that you pointed out that some of the teams here are stacked with rushes, Neptune.
Yeah.
We see Motion Gang. They have lined up their players. Not a single sniper, not a single support player. Every single player on Motion Gang is a rusher. Now, I don't know if they're going to rush to the top or they're going to rush back to the lobby game after game, because you need a little bit of balance here. But unless you're really broken, right? Unless you're just that kind of squad that just doesn't care. Rushing is the name of the game. You get in there, you clean up house, and you move on to the next compound. You continuously do that all the way to the final circle. If that's what Motion Gang is all about, I'm actually looking forward to seeing them.
Yeah, let's see though if they can survive the motion sickness as well, because all that rushing will give you that motion sickness.
Yes.
But again, it's either they really rush in to the top or the lobby, as you did mention, and that is what we're eyeing for. A lot of teams has the potential, especially in a lobby, in a region wherein it's more a long range. So if you can get that like advantage overall, element of surprise in a rush, in a flank, then you will be able to beat down a lot of teams right here, not only in the group stage, but also in the knockout stage, especially on the grand final. So that is one thing, that's just one part of the tactics when it comes to Free Fire, because there's a lot more, the dynamics overall. We mentioned it, we talked about the unique active skill, we talk about like how they are engaging, whether it's a CQC or long range. So there's a lot of dynamics that is involved when it comes to Free Fire and Battle Royale.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And of course, I'm not even looking at the chat right now, but I'm damn sure the chat is saying, start the match, stop yapping. We do apologize, guys, all right? There are a couple of teams who are having some connection issues. We don't want to start the lobby just yet until we resolve that, because we want the players to have all the, all the ability to go out there to perform their best, equal playing field for everyone out there. So we're going to give them a little bit more time. You're going to see Neptune and I a little bit longer here whilst we wait for these matches to kick off, not even resume, right? Because Group B has not played a single one. So coming to your point, active, passive skills, Neptune, it's sometimes good to go against the grain. It's sometimes good to be, to not go with the crowd and to create your own style and go out there. But when it comes to video games, there is a meta, right? It's called meta for a very, very good reason, because it literally spells out the most effective way to grab yourself a victory. And if you are not following the most effective way, you are taking the longer path, the more riskier path, perhaps some may say the unnecessary path. So this may not be a problem as long as we are playing within the USA server itself. Once they start going outside of the server, though, once they start bumping into these other regions, this is going to start becoming a problem for these teams.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, because some of when it comes to meta, most of the time It's more of understanding how to counter them. And it does happen in a specific region that meta is used on both scale, whether it's CQC or a long range. So if you're just focusing more on like a long range engagement, a passive engagement, and then that is where you will be caught off guard. So that's why you need to make those adjustments as well. And it's not just for like specific region, not just for North America, but because there's also the World Series that teams need to be looking forward to. Yes, the USA Championship doesn't it's not equivalent to getting into that level yet, but with this introduction after 3 years of not having tournament just like this, it is viable that we might see them on FFWS. So I'm looking forward for them to make those adjustments, make those moves, and like adapting it to their game style, but still go in with the meta.
Yeah, we see the quality already, right? It's just a matter of time before they put up a real good case to have a couple of slots here on the global stage as a whole. But yeah, man, we better see some crazy changes before that happens, because you don't want to go up onto the global stage and get crushed. You want to go out there and you want to whip out some good 15 eliminations just from your sniper, walk away with 41, 42 points, record-breaking stuff. I mean, we've seen that on the global stage as well. But if, teams from FFUSC can come bursting out of the gate, very new, being hung out to dry for 3 years and then being allowed the opportunity to come back here in competitive play and then move on to a much bigger stage and end up dominating, it would be a Cinderella story, which we most definitely want to tune into. We most definitely want to see for these teams here at FFUSC. A couple of the passive skills that I expected not to work out last week. It's not the passive skills that I didn't expect to work out. It's just the combination of skills, right? Because we see what a clear lineup of active passive skills could be like for a sniper, or what it could be like for a rusher. And what we have happened to see here at FFUSC is a wild combination of many roles, says active and passive skills mixed up together, right? So I don't know. I have got no problems with it right now because the teams are still delivering with the numbers. But like I said, if the moment you find a team that's playing the perfect combination out there, then hasta la vista, baby. You are going to get capped real quick.
Yeah, you know how it is. Like, let's point it out. At some point for the snipers, it's much easier to identify. So you have the Skylar that can bring out the Riptide Rhythm, and then we have the Moko, we have the Maro, and at some point Iris also works. The Raphael, that style, like you might be able to sneak up onto the opponent, not really being heard, and then that's where you go for the off angle. So there's that combination, or I would say limited combination that can be used on when you are the sniper of a team. For the rusher, though, there's a lot of potential active skill and passive skill combination that you can use, and we've seen that in different tournaments as well. But for the support, another skill, and this is something that is close to my heart because I've been using the Cassie, I've been using the Thiva so much, so that I will be able to support my teammates as well, not only Battle Royale but also in Clash Squad. Olivia, like the healing touch. So that's something that can be used more often than not, and that is one thing that they can just take advantage or find a counter for.
Yeah, I mean, Olivia, Thiva, in the hands of the support makes a huge difference, right? Especially out there in a very heated battlefield. You don't have a lot of time to pick up your team members. So you head on in there with the combo between Thiva, Olivia. You're going to probably get the job done very, very quickly, and your team is out of there all safe and sound. It is very, very important, especially for maps like Solara, where you really are not too sure exactly where your opponents are going to attack from. You're not very comfortable on your map. You haven't really figured out all of the hiding spots, all of the vantage points in these maps. So, sorry, not in these maps, in these compounds within Solara. So you really have to take that slow approach and play a little bit more defensively. But once again, the map schedule, we start things off at Bermuda and then head on into Solara, which is going to bring everything back to point zero if in case we do have teams running away with our OG map. And of course, we'll complete the day with Nextera and Kalahari now.
Yeah, I mean, Kalahari is one thing that would be a game changer for day number 1 of Group B because of how well a sniper will be used. This is a sniper's nest overall, and also how they can, like, it really breaks the usual approach in Free Fire because the hook gun, you will be able to move out, in and out of a battle using that hook gun. And I guess Solara is one thing as well, especially with the slide rails that has been introduced for Bermuda as well as Nextera. I think that's one thing is, other than for Nextera, the number of compounds that we have that they can hide out of, but also what something is similar is the zip lines that they can go and use. But we do have the portal that is available in Nextera, so they have their own identity. Each map has their own identity, and whoever or whichever team can find a commonality and use that commonality to their advantage and to get ahead of the rest of the teams, and that's where you will see consistency.
Yeah, and of course, you also have to see who's playing the safe game, right? Because we saw massive numbers of hot drops in week 1. And this is something that we expected from the very start of the broadcast itself, Neptune, because the teams really do not, understand each other, nor do they have enough data on each other to avoid the other squads. You gotta just hope for the best and hop on in there. And because you only have 8 games, you don't have many of these maps repeating before you find your qualifier in towards the knockout stage, right? Once again, the point system, you hit the booyah, you walk away with 12 points. Not many teams could say that they did that. And even if you walk away with the booyah, it doesn't really guarantee you that you'll be able to climb up the leaderboard or whatsoever, because we saw last week, some teams were just rolling up to the top with purely those eliminations. Like you said, there's no cap on those eliminations now.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you can stack it up. And some that we've seen so far, they really don't go for a team wipeout. They want that potential of additional points. Because, imagine, you take down 3, you let the other guy revive them, and then you had another chance of another 3 points. So, that's just one of the tactics that we've seen.
Yeah.
And also, the very passive approach. I know some of the survivors out there will be ganging up and saying, oh, they're just campers. No, that is tactical positioning that they're doing right there. And it wins series, especially in the format that we have for Free Fire.
Absolutely. And of course, we did see some teams out there kind of trying to play non-meta guns as well in BR. It's not going to work out unless you're just truly, truly desperate, right? Which is the main reason why you have to avoid these teams as much as possible on that early drop, so that you've got enough space and enough room, enough time to loot up, pick the exact weapon that you want, pick up those coins, get to a vending machine, get yourself, those glue wall melters, basically all the utilities that you need before you get into a rough battle. You've only got 4 games today, 4 opportunities. Yeah. And if you are not using the early parts of the game well, if you are going to get into a hot drop, messy situation, forced on the revival spree, forced on the back foot, then you're probably going to be sad like some of the viewers who did not manage to grab the redemption code earlier.
Yeah, definitely. And you did mention about the 4 opportunities for the team. This is a 4 opportunities for the viewers, for the survivors out there watching this broadcast. Again, just set the expectation. If in case you missed out on earlier, this is another set of code that we have for you just to give thanks, because you're still hanging with us despite of not starting the game just yet. So this is our sign of appreciation, and you will have a chance. As you can see at number 2, there's 5 chances overall. This is your second chance, AJ.
There you go. There you go. I mean, first of all, for all of those guys who are upset that we are delayed, y'all better be. I just saw that frown turn upside down. It's a smile now, Neptune. I have never started off a broadcast where we have given out 2 codes back to back and we haven't even played a single game. Now, once again, guys, we truly do apologize for the delay. It's not intentional. Obviously, we want to start the games here. We wouldn't have started the broadcast if we didn't want to see some games, but it's just unfortunate. A couple of teams still have not jumped on in yet. We just still try to sort out their issues in the background But here you go, man. I mean, I'm pretty sure by now you guys have taken the screenshot already. Redeem it. Let us know in the comment section exactly what you managed to walk away with. As we load up game number 1, Neptune, things are gonna get hot and spicy here at Bermuda.
Yeah, Bermuda, the green grass of home for all survivors out there. The OG map for those who are playing this excellent game. So let's see who will be playing excellently in this map as well. Because I'm loving I'm loving the anticipation for the teams in Group B, especially from what we've seen in Group A.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And of course, we know what their hotspots are. Even if you don't have information, you basically want to avoid places like Clock Tower, Bima Sakti Strip, Peak. Katulistiwa is very hot as well. You want to be taking the outskirts. We're talking about Keratin, where we barely see players go towards. Graveyard is hot, but rare depending on the flight path. But look, wait a minute. I think somewhere close towards Observatory and all, we're going to have a little bit of a high-tier loot zone here on the opposite side of the map. So let's see if or not this is going to drag a couple of teams on towards that left-hand side later on now. You're just going to be waiting for my brother Neptune to hop on back in here with us. We do apologize, guys. Technical difficulty. Oh, there you go. My brother's back.
I am back right now, and just in time for the game to start. Apologies for being cut off right there. So our flight path will be slicing through Bermuda, and right now we're going to see who will be dropping first in this fight. And so far we won't be seeing all 10 teams right here. We started off because of how it is with some of the teams right now. We're going to see just 7 teams in this first game.
Well, if it's just 7 teams, just one team is going to get eliminated. Let's see, man. It'll be quite fancy if all 7 teams reaches up to the top. But this is going to be an issue, Neptune, overall. Main reason is because if you've got 7 teams, you don't have a lot of elimination points to take away from the rest of the teams out there by the time you get to the final circle. And we are going to be comparing them over to Group A. So this does bring up a little bit of a concern. But of course, let's see how these teams sort that out as they move on along. Freestyle, Lopez, Jason, everybody on standby here as the Real G is checking out their opponents. Just making sure they don't hop on into this battle a little bit too early.
Yeah, let's see, though. I mean, this is where it begins. The Real G just waiting it out against Antonio. And, well, I love the position of Josue at this point because he has a good sides on 2 players. But 18 Duck will not be rushing just yet. I know from a different universe, he will be the rusher. He will be the initiator. So right now, he's just waiting with the rest of the team.
Yeah, this is just 18 multiverse, right? Because we've got 18 DA in Southeast Asia. We've got 18 Duck here in FFUSC. So I want to see if or not this Duck plays an opposite role in this multiverse, right? Like you said, not the rush. Ooh, first blood. I'm Guts. Finding the first one out there, and Don C will be the ones who pick up the very first point of the game. Don Chui, of course, that's just going to boost them up a little bit in terms of confidence, but it seems like nobody out here is getting super aggressive just yet.
Yeah, and we've seen that as well from last week. They don't want to be aggressive. They want to get the position as well as information first, and then that's where they start going in for that elimination. Joe Jam, though, has been taken down. 18 Duck for the takedown against Jason. And let's see if he'll be able to recover as well as set up, because the rest of the teams might be going in for the push. But with one takedown on the other side, a pickup needs to be done, and that is one thing that Real G can take advantage of.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, take a look at this, man. Alex, double vectors in hand, has got that electrotherapy. Cassie on for the push, and it looks like these boys want a little bit of action. Tonio pushing on in as Jason on the revival already, looking for more numbers. But this is basically Clash Squad territory, right? This is exactly where we play. So these boys are exactly what to find out there. But CLG losing Charlie to a headshot here. I'm Guts on a tear for the squad.
Oh, I mean, I love how disciplined Tonyo is right now. And I'm not talking about Tonyo, but the entire squad. Because despite of the advantage that Real G has on them, especially with the information and position, they still manage to go in slowly for the push. And there's another takedown despite of Tonyo and Freestyle being knocked down. We still have two, Jason on Lopez, that might be able to pick them up.
Yep, Jason only has a secondary here. Has managed to pick up a gun. Let's see exactly what he can pull off with this, though, as Josue backs away from Clock Tower as quickly as possible. But this is going to be a little bit of an issue on Style. Potentially might put an end to him, even if he does get away from Tonyo. Out of the pan, straight into the fire. Does he get taken out with Style, or does he manage to survive? Spots a player from afar. And Josue, very, very lucky. Looks like his spray is answered. But a first team wipeout here as we lose the first squad. Unbelievable stuff, because MTG pretty much just sorted that out. And it wasn't them who started that fight initially.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I mean, they only have one elimination, and Don Choi, Real Cheeto, will be taken now. Tonyo will be the ones who go in for the final nail, and that's one thing. That is the disadvantage of only having one player, and with all the noise that happened in Clock Tower, they pulled in on Style as well, but we'll see if they will go for the engagement, because on Style, it looks like they're backing away. They don't want to deal with that just yet, though we're only in the first 5 minutes of this map.
Yeah, clearly you can see a huge difference here between the teams. And even though we've got such a huge map, just 7 teams, we still had a hot drop there. You know, a little surprising. And 2 teams eliminated so early on, with 5 more to travel towards that final circle. This is... I don't know if this is a little bit more difficult, right? Because you've got lesser teams to worry about out there, which means teams are going to be able to loot up very, very well before they get to the final circle battle, right? Of course, except the first 2 that got a little unfortunate with super early skirmishes and they got snuffed out. Another one on the way as well. This time we potentially might just see Tonyo get involved in a battle here up against On Style. We haven't seen On Style in action just yet. They've just been purely focusing on those loots.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, for Tonyo, they just know how to time their approach. They just know how to pick each opponent, get that information, and isolate them. So that is one thing that we need to take note for Tonyo, and other teams need to counter as well. And this is just notes for the first 2 teams that has been eliminated in this game, but we're just getting in for in preparation for the second phase of this circle, as one team might be left out in the open. On Style, I believe, hasn't gotten into the next phase just yet, and again, with only a few teams waiting and going in for the battle, I don't think they need to be this cautious at this point.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, I wasn't really expecting to see the early elimination of the Real Gs. It looks like they weren't the Gs here in this first game, but fingers crossed, this is what pisses them off and makes them into gangsters.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, let's see if they are going Antonio at this point. I mean, gangster spirit will be on them.
No. Only Tonyo goes Antonio. Not the Real G. Literally, right? Because Tonyo was the one that wiped out Real G. That's just a little too funny.
The coincidence, bro. The coincidence.
You think coincidence? I don't think it is. That's just poetic ammo right there. Just drilling in all of those bullets into the coffin. Unfortunate for the Real G. But you know, man, the Real G, they never say die. I'm pretty sure they'll be back for revenge, but they'll have to wait for Solara and watch the rest of this action. But if anything, they really have to learn from this game. Do not drop into the center of the map if you are struggling to catch up early on, right? Unless you've got mad mechanical skills, then yeah, go ahead, take all the risk you can.
Definitely, and for most instances that we've seen, for those dropping in the center of the map, there's also less instance of getting elimination. So
Yeah.
compared to what we've seen on day number or week number 1 rather, the ones on the edge, good chance of looting because they're far away from the rest of the teams, and then as they move towards each face of the circle, that's where they get all those elimination, whether it's close range battle or from a long range engagement of the snipers, then that gives you more chances. But if you're in the middle, you will just be waiting for those rushing in. And what if no one rushes in on the center? So that would be a loss for the team who's just in a tactical position. I don't want to say camping. In a tactical position in the middle of the circle.
Tactical camping.
Tactical camping.
Because that's what it is, man. I mean, it's not wrong to camp in a battle royale. It's just absolutely insane if you see opponents out there on the battlefield and you're just rushing at them, right? We want to look at the same place as well. As Tonio, once again, with their gangster spirit, moves on in, meeting CLG. And this is that level 3 MP5 that we were talking about. Doesn't hit as hard as the MP40, but you still can rock someone's world when you meet them halfway. Tonio, MP40, that very SMG that I was talking about, in his hands, patching himself up. Jason! I think a little bit unfortunate as he meets the M590 of On King. CLG finishing off that job as they back away, avoiding the circle. Is this circle number 2? And it looks like Tonio is about to lose yet another player because Gomez Rio is not cutting any slack here whatsoever as he shuts down yet another player from Tonio himself.
Yeah, Tonio will be taken down. Needs to be revived. Rio on the other side, though, has been taken out as well. Rio YT, if I'm not mistaken, that's how it is being read. But for freestyle right now, the only few. Oh! And there goes CLG after a good run from the beginning. I guess they might be at a loss. And Lopez right now managed to bring back the teammates. Same goes for CLG. And there goes the battle of the vending machine.
Well, Gomez Rio did his best to bring back the rest of his squad, takes one final leap of faith into that battle, but gets checked instantly, right? But CLG, the rest of these team members are going to be able to drop in here and loot freely because every other team except MTG is outside of the circle, desperately trying to get towards this next zone. And now CLG has got the advantage if they have managed to pick up the right guns because they've got potentially 3 teams running straight at them now.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And they need to spread out as well because later on, once we get into next phase of the circle, I don't think there's so much of cover, but the Jonas Wick will be taken down. Another one from a different universe. And let's see if 5-star or 5 stars will be able to give 5 elimination in this point because they're only left with 2, but the revival will be done by Eric.
Yep, and of course, Eric doesn't really need to worry about not having cash. Man was stacked, and he's got the skin that I for some weird reason, I just cannot stand. All right, every time I get eliminated and I see this skin, I just want to smash my phone against the wall, Neptune. I do not understand why.
Imagine, bro, he like have that skin and then hearing tung 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 sahur, tung 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 sahur.
So irritating. But Gomez Rio is probably saying the same thing. I'm just trying to get to the circle, man. Stop shooting at me. As he's just absolutely shut down. Just a little bit outside this next zone, though, so Gomez Rio will be able to find some sort of a recovery here. MTG, the first team in that safe zone where we saw everybody else being stuck outside fighting the blue, is now playing a little bit of pressure as well. They've got CLG to cut off their rotation as they try to move on into this next circle at Keratin.
Yeah, I know the CLG is a elimination leader at this point, but I'm not loving the position that they have. Their limit spread too thin, though yes, they have natural cover, a lot of coconut trees that will help them, but this is what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
you can't be taken down a little bit too early, and then the pickup will be very difficult for you. So let's see, A7, Draco, though, managed to take down Zenitsu, and, well, I guess the rest of the teams of Motion Gang will be moving in similar motion to pick him up.
Yep, and Xavier just trying his best to save Zenitsu. Does manage to successfully do that. Just healing him up with a gun from afar. MTG with that recovery. 2 eliminations in hand. Needs to travel around. Tonio brought back for the squad of Tonio, but getting sprayed down. Man needs to change his name because Tonio on Tonio is just way too confusing.
Well, it's not only that. I think we also have locks and locks.
No, what's up with these boys, man? Just trying to confuse the
Not quite sure though if it's like intentional, but Xavier was able to take down Tonyo as we look into Eric right now. AWM also going potential headshot onto Blex for on style, but managed to recover, and a backstab will be happening. Not knowing where from, but for FVS right now, Jonas Wick, Mr. Wick. Are you ready for this battle as he prepares to use or buy out from that pocket market?
Yeah, Jonas Wick is just confused, man. Man's supposed to be singing, but he's out here shooting a couple of players. He's got the right skin, though. Jonas Wick, MP5, level none. This is going to be a little difficult in his final circle. Steps outside of the blue, tanking that damage. Getting stuck halfway under this bridge. Man's trying to play a troll. Bye-bye, Jonas Wick. Opana will say with the MP40. That was just way too easy. So, yep, he's just got to go back to singing, bro.
Singing or being an assassin, you know? Mr. Wick.
That did not seem assassin-like.
Probably more of a half and half. But let's see now. On style right now. Trying to go in for that push flash, almost being taken down, but managed to block himself in. And Pana, though, will be in trouble, will be taken down by Eric with that AWM. No pickup will be done. On style right now will try to go on edge as well as rush into the middle as the rest of the teams go in for the fight, but they're the one feeling it. Every bullet, every shot is on them.
Yeah, great play by Zenitsu. MTG now. 3 players alive and kicking. FVS as well as on style. Both teams have got 1 player on the grind. Now, out on style does not manage to pick up their player on King. Beautiful shots, but just drags the attention to himself. Now both MTG as well as FVS try to take on style out of the equation. They are out in the open. Just 1 glue wall between them and the 2 other squads.
Yeah, let's see, though, if they'll be able to survive this. They have a good chance to move with the shift of the circle later on, but it is very risky because FBS as well as MTG will be able to take their position as an advantage at this point with the cover as well, especially when Eric, though Eric has a 4 elimination already on that snipe. Let's see if he'll be able to get close and take down the players of On Style.
It looks like FBS now needs to move on with their plays because MTG coming in with the approach. Beautiful snipe by Eric. But 35 HP left on him. Has to use that super med. Thank God he has the super med though, so we'll be able to jump back in here very quickly. But Zenitsu out of nowhere. A double headshot on King with a follow-up as well. But MTG left with just 1 final survivor. Can Zenitsu get this done for the squad? FVS staying out of all of this trouble. And that puts them on the upper hand here. It's now On Style versus FVS for the Booyah.
Oh, there he goes, the 2v2. He's now a 1v2. Now a 1v1. And X-Rekka for the clutch. Definitely 5-star performance for this Booyah. And I am loving that finale.
Oh yeah, absolutely, man. I mean, FVS versus On Style, we saw so many teams out there who could have gotten it done. We saw MTG, the first team to get in towards that 3rd final circle, if I'm not mistaken. But obviously, getting that advantage didn't really do them a lot of good at all because as the teams were running in, I think they got a tad bit too confident. They didn't really know exactly where the next circle was going to be, and they didn't focus on their rotations, and a little bit too much of safe plays there. The other teams, on the other hand, were not looking for safe plays, Neptune. I mean, they have been running the whole game, all right? From the very start, they've just been hunting down the circle, and so many of those teams just kind of concentrated on one side of the map. So they had to fight a lot as they were looking for that final circle. And MTG just wasn't warmed up. The other teams, they were hot.
I mean, being out in the open, very far from the rest of the teams. Yes, they started off with a few elimination, but
Yeah.
like just waiting in there, and we talk about that. Whether it's the middle or just far away from the rest of the teams outside of the circle or farther part of it, yes, they have the advantage of getting close, but it's also how you can stack up on those points. And it is correct. Similar to what we've seen, FBS managed to get a few more elimination on their way to the final circle. And if it wasn't for Eric, though, that is they won't get that far because the sniper from beginning up until the end, even in a close range, he still managed to use a sniper.
Yeah, and the double AK-47 headshot towards the very final. And, assault rifle played on CQC that well. That's exactly what you need to grab that victory up against your opponents. But unfortunately, the team just did not have enough manpower to go all the way to the very end. FVS kind of just pulling out some sort of magic trick towards the very end up against the squad. So overall, what a chaotic game number one for Group B. And we only had 7 teams. Can you imagine if we had a full lobby? I think this would have just been absolutely insane, Nev.
Yeah, definitely. And hopefully for next map, we are going to have a full lobby. But before we go there, we're going to go in for a quick break. When we return, we head in to our next map, a newest map, which is Solara. So don't go away. We'll be right back.
Welcome back, survivors. This is the Free Fire USA Championship 2025. My name is AJ. I'm the Mustachio. Down here with the one and only Neptune the Gentleman Garcia, my brother. We are your casters for the day. One game has elapsed, 3 more games to go, and we are going to keep it an absolute surprise in terms of the overall standings kept for you guys up for tomorrow, because no matter how much of points today these teams pick, I don't think they're going to be able to rip away the top 12 spots from the other teams just yet. Maybe those like Gavilanes might be at a little bit of risk here, Neptune, but we want to keep that suspense. We want to keep that surprise for tomorrow when we show the overall leaderboard.
Yeah, definitely, because if we show it together with Group A, like Group B will still be at the bottom, so it doesn't make that much of a point to compare them just yet. So this is where we just go with the flow right now. We just see how the gameplay is, not really the scores just yet. And that's once we identify the gameplay, how they're going to react, then we have a good storyline to open up tomorrow, and then that's where we look into the points and find out if they can catch up to how Group A has done.
Yeah, just one game is not going to be able to give us enough information, because at the end of the day, this is a battle royale, so you've got a little bit of RNG mixed into that. We saw quite a number of hot drops earlier, quite a number. Even if it wasn't a hot drop, it was a drop where teams were just in compounds beside each other, and as they were trying to rotate in towards that safe zone, and the safe zone was just absolutely mean to everyone this time around, except MTG. It left everyone high and dry, so teams had to cross each other's paths, deal with the damage from the blue, as well as try to get into the circle. And as they're trying to get into the circle, they get gate kept by the teams that are already there first. So it was a very chaotic start here at Bermuda, but I do expect that chaos to continue in Solara Net.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, this is where we look at them, and we won't be just seeing the 7 teams from Bermuda. We have the 10 teams that is available for today. But as we look at the match schedule, Bermuda has been taken by FVS already. 5 stars overall, especially with the finisher that they have and how they set it up. I mean, with Eric right there on the snipes, there's still question on how it works out in terms of synergy, especially with Jonas Wick, a little bit too far from the rest of the teams when we saw him on that bridge. But once they were in the final circle, we are seeing Eric really taking the lead. Even if he's a sniper, he's in the front line. So this guy really knows how to use that snipe. We might be seeing another one in contender to Escolta, or probably a player JK from Group A.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And I think it was a great play from him overall. But I think you rightfully pointed out, Jonas Wick and his gameplay being too far away from the rest of his team members, wasn't the best of ideas there for the side of 5 stars. But thankfully, things kind of panned out well for them in the grand scheme of things. They still managed to walk away with a booyah. How many eliminations? Doesn't matter at this point of time. They have got a total of 8 games to play. Just 1 has elapsed. So if any mistakes were made, or if anything that was discovered out there, we just want to see exactly how they use that information in the games that are coming up. But speaking on the perspective of 5 stars and what Jonas Wick did out there, he's actually the oldest player on the squad. So we do expect that maturity to kick in a little bit, and for the team to play together out there, right? Because from what we are seeing here at FFUSC, these teams are crazy aggressive. I mean, they will just rush at you the moment they spot you out there on the battlefield. And if you're not ready as a squad, you're probably going to get eliminated a little bit too early. I don't know if the other teams are going to be continuously kind to 5 stars.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's one thing that they need to be aware of. But we know how it is in the first day. There's still a lot of hiccups that is happening in terms of the teams. So let's see if that is something that they can work out on the next map. But before we head there, I guess it is time, AJ, to give out something for the viewers out there. Once again, we have 5 chances, and 2 of which has already elapsed. We are now on another chance for the viewers out there, for the survivors out there, to get this code. First 100 to grab it, enter it, and manage to redeem it will be our lucky survivors. Once again, before we show the code, let me just set the expectation. You need to enter it on reward.ff ff.garena.com. So make sure that is ready, and then we're going to show you the code in 3, 2, 1. There you go.
There you go. ff.garena.com. You said it right, Neptune. Head on over there. Make sure you punch in, reward.ff.garena.com. Make sure you punch in the right code. Make sure you've taken that screenshot already before you head on over there. And once you do, you will be able to redeem this item into your game. Let us know exactly what you think about it. And of course, stay on the broadcast because we have got 2 more coming up for you guys. Of course, a little bit of a delay at the very start of the day because we wanted all of the teams to hop on into the lobby. But now that we have everybody loaded and locked in already, we can pretty much guarantee you this day is going to get a little bit more exciting than.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, especially as we are looking in Solara, and we know how exciting it is when we see players in a new map. Chaotic, I would say. There's a lot of things that they are lost in terms of position dropping, and even with the slide rails, how they can get in and out of the battle. And surprisingly, the slide rails, though, I mean, once you pull up that glue wall, and even when we saw that first, we were just surprised in how it covers up. It's not just one glue wall on you. It surrounds you in a cocoon that you can get away.
This time, we've got 9 teams locked and loaded in this lobby. And it is not going to be a extremely torturous flight path. We will be just flying through the map as we start things off at the Delta Isle, possibly heading straight towards the hub. You guys will be able to see the map in a little bit. My biggest question is, where's that blue, that high tier loot zone going to be? Holy mama, it's that windmill. So early jump for some of the teams out here. I want to see exactly who's brave enough to reach out for that high tier loot zone. It looks like the answer is going to be nobody.
Nobody. I mean, CDG out on the plane already, but is heading into Funfair, and even the rest of the teams are not dropping just yet. And it's just now that they are letting go from that flight. So it would be geared toward the left side, lower left side of our map, and then it's an open upper right side. So if the shift of the circle, similar to what we've seen earlier, a lot will be going for the chase.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And I think we're going to have a triple drop here in a compound. If I'm not mistaken, we did see a couple of teams kind of fly right behind of the team 5 stars. CLG as well as MTG once again in a little bit of a tussle early game. And it looks like it's not going to fare well at all for MTG as Zenitsu is the first blood.
I mean, MTG was safe earlier, but now they went in for a hot drop. Not quite sure if this is intentional or this is just their dropping spot. They do have that revive platform, but it is being covered by CLG right now. And let's see if Xavier as well as Itadori and Roberto will be able to balance it out, though. In terms of elimination, Charlie almost being taken down, but he will not be brought to that chocolate factory just yet.
Yeah, man. Eco Drain, once again, another compound where we do play Clash Squad.
Uh-huh.
And it looks like MTG is not as keen on taking these fights. Twice now, they've had their players drop, but the recovery is quick, and Gomez Rio, what a shot! Xavier down on the ground. Charlie Bison in hand, on for the hunt. Finds yet another player, but Pitadori managing to turn the situation around. Rakusid can't get away just yet. CLG with a quick hop on in, and the 2v1 puts Gomez Rio down on the ground once again. Kusit with an opportunity here to finish things off on behalf of CLG. MTG putting up a great defense up against them, but are now left with Zenitsu, and I don't think he's got enough in the tank to take on 3 players at one go.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, he has been revived only before the rest of the teams has been taken down. So dropping in here was risky, but it's a good thing that he managed to drop a little bit far though. And as quickly as that, with that bunch of Free Fire coins, he has 700 already, and just one vending machine can bring back one player. But speaking of bringing back, we have Don Chui as well. Insano has been brought back after a battle onto the other side, but I think there's a lot of engagement happening. Real G right now, with a one man down, are just preparing or probably waiting for the engagement to happen from far.
Yeah, absolutely. And MTG, he just did it too. Like you pointed out, rightfully, 700 coins in his pocket. He just needs a vending machine. And it looked like CLG was not going in here for the hunt. FVS in the compound as well on the slow approach. CLG, one wrong rotation, and this could be absolutely deadly for the squad. Eric potentially has got that sniper on the lookout here for the squad as well. And as FVS will continue to proceed towards the Eco Drain compound.
Let's see, though. I mean, CLG on fire, similar to what we've seen in the first map earlier. And FBS will be the ones knocking in on this door. We still have 9 teams remaining, though. And FBS stacking up onto the wall while CLG is heading in on trying to move in onto the middle of the next phase of the circle. So they are within this phase of the circle, I believe, or they need to move up north, though. And this is probably one reason why FBS also went in to Eco Drain, because of like its expectation that the southern part, especially with less players or less team has dropped in there, would be the safest path that they can take.
I'm just waiting for the countdown to the phenomenal engagement between 5 stars, the winners of the Bermuda Booyah, up against CLG. Question is, will Charlie get away? Unfortunately, no. Eric strikes once again with the deadly skin. I still hate it.
So, but not only is he deadly on the skin, but also the VSK. Like we're seeing potential of greatest sniper from this region. Rio YT though will need to run away, because as a solo player, you don't want to be in the open, and only a glue wall as well as nature that will help you. And the rest of FBS right now will try and for that elimination. Rio YT will be taken down, but no elimination just yet. I believe they are still alive and kicking. CLG will be repositioning and finding a good spot for later on.
Yeah, great revival from the team of CLG before they got taken out. So they start off strong, and then they get instantly capped by 5 stars with their 5-star gameplay. Very smooth maneuver towards Eco Drain, taking the back portion of the compound, slowly wrapping around and catching the players of CLG with their pants down. I think that was brilliant positioning overall coming through from 5 stars. And I guess we understand now. It was no luck that they walked away with the Booyah earlier. If you've got great positioning, you're probably going to be putting yourself in a good distance away from that #1 spot game after game.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, and that is another part of the game that not all the teams or not all survivors are going in and studying. This is positioning-wise, this is something that you need to make sure that you understand how you get yourself in a good spot to take down an enemy or probably sneak away from any engagement. Now, CLG right now, despite of them losing out in some of the battles, good enough for Gomez Rio staying outside of the blue to revive the rest of the teams. But I guess where they're dropping would be a trouble as well, because they will be spread out and some of the teams already gatekeeping onto the edge of circle. But as we look at Don Chui and Tonyo right now, with Hockey onto the other side from CDG, they need to rush because they have less than 1 minute, and if they buy so much time, they might be losing out of players later on.
Antonio doesn't really need to do much at all. And if Don Chui wants this next circle, they have to make that long rotation over towards Riders Club and then make a jump in towards that safe zone. And if they don't, Tonyo's going to have a good time sniping away at them. Just finding a quick reposition here at the fun fair. as we catch up with Don Chui as well, making their way in towards that circle. Super med for Insano, and he's going to be fairly pleased with that. And we see him rocking that Sentino as well. And once again, man, we see Kelly there. A little offhand with the passive skill picks here from the teams at FFUSC. We're still waiting to see exactly what sort of viability these off-meta skills will bring to them.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, when we see that Santino, what comes in mind mostly is Clash Squad, because it's how you can get into position, but also in Battle Royale, if you want to go in safe play or probably distraction gameplay, yes, you can do so. But for Tonyo right now, they will be in a fight and engagement against CDG. Tonyo of Tonyo will be taken down though, and as we can see, CDG already grouping up in this tower, just rocking in on those glue walls. Only Lopez remains.
Yeah, he remains for sure. And with a max 7 miles 7, moving on in and freestyle. Not be able to get away from the king with the M590 in hand. Gets the pop at level F. It drops a big fail here on the Solara map. First team to get eliminated. But CDG on for the hunt for a few more. Well, meet Lopez and takes Tonyo out of the equation in 8. 2 successive drops of squads back to back here on the 9th minute.
Yeah, when we thought CLG would be the first team to be taken out, they are not. But they're still in trouble right now. And we have 7 teams remaining out of the 9 that started this map. We still have Don Chui right now, only 1 elimination, but they want to start it off against CDG, a team that has just eliminated an entire squad. So not quite sure if this is smart for them, especially as they are on the edge of the circle, and you know how teams are, especially in Battle Royale. This is one part that most teams will be populated at.
Yeah, absolutely. And now Don Chui with an opportunity to get away, but CDG wants to put an end to their rotation. Cartel de Golfo taking that opportunity as they take their shots up against Don Chui. Don Chui desperately trying to get away here from all of these players, as Mao will find that elimination for him. CDG 5 points up already, and Don Chui realizes they have just messed with the wrong squad here.
Yeah, I mean, this is what I'm talking about. Were safe earlier. CDG is already moving away from the compound, but they just shot at them. Now they are in trouble. So Insano will be in an insane situation right now, because it's not only CDG but also CLG, a different squad overall. But Draco will be taken down. No, Charlie will be the ones left for CLG. We still have Riot YT on the other side, but Charlie backstab and Mao hits him. CLG, another team that goes out. Down to 6 we go.
Yeah, CDG just doesn't know what to do, man. They're running across the battlefield and players just keep appearing in front of them. So what the hell can they do? They just take their shots and they collect those points. 8 eliminations in hand already. And guess what they find along the way as well? A airdrop that's going to be able to really stack up the loot on their side to keep them up and active in some of these big engagements. No frag grenades in the hands of Mao, but it really doesn't matter. Look at those 10 glue walls that he has on his side. This next open circle is definitely going to be on the side of CDG because of how much of utilities they still have on them.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you saw 10. I also saw 13 meds on one of their players. So they are stacked up. This is because they had eliminated a lot of teams, also went in for the airdrop. And compared to that, we have on Style right now who will just be waiting for their opportunity. They have been silent all throughout. 0 eliminations just yet, and just staying onto the edge compared to CDG. They go in each engagement, every noise, they want to go in for the fight. But as we look, CDG against FVS, they just don't want to let go.
CDG, they want more points. And it looks like this next circle is probably not going to be too mean to them at all. But a few more seconds to find out exactly where the zone is about to drag us. And Garrick from afar. VSK finding one and putting the best talent on the side of CDG down 6 feet under. Garrick finds Mao as well. A back-to-back. And it looks like 5 stars still in here to Rocket and Rekka. Rex, yet another player. And it looks like this squad is up for yet another booyah. 5 stars bringing out those 5-star plays once again.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I love how they position themselves. The moment the CDG knocks on those blue walls, they know how to bring it on, and they push CDG on that ground floor. Now, earlier, CDG was the ones targeting those coming in on the outside of the next phase of the circle, and it is now given to Kenny as well as Eric right now. Though we're left with King and Mao, they're still elimination leader at this point, but there's not so much that they can do for the moment unless or until they bring back 2 of their teammates.
Hey, whips out the M16 level 2. If you hit a headshot with that gun, obviously it's just going to rip a hole through the opponent's head. And 5 stars just finding CDG once again, strutting into their house. And you know what that means, baby. 3 points time. And Cartel de Golfo gets eliminated in the 5th spot as 5 stars. 9 points strong with the eliminations, looking for their back-to-back booyah here on day 1 of Group B.
Yeah, definitely, and that is thanks to Jonas Wick as well. Thompson in hand managed to knock down 2 players, but on the other side, Eric is just setting up against this boulder. So this is what it means when you are stuck between a rock and a hard place.
Well, Eric makes the first wrap around with the sniper. That's not the best of ideas in a CQC, and he gets punished instantaneously for that. But the pickup is strong. Rekka eliminated from the equation. 5 stars losing a very strong player, and now Kenny 17 down on the ground. Pulls away with a mag 7 straight to the head. Eric down, sprayed as well. MTG out of nowhere, interfering and wrecking the chances of a back-to-back booyah for 5 stars.
Real G, bring it real. 10 eliminations already, though they only had 2 players in that engagement. That was a 2v4 clutch that they've done. But for On Style, they lost 1, also another. Now, this is a chance for them to go in for that elimination. Blex is the only one remaining against MTG, but he needs to move away. Only UMP in hand. Yes, the fire rate is good, but the damage not so much. And Motion Gang in the motion to eliminate yet another team. And it is down to 2 teams on the 2v4.
Well, we saw how the Rail Gs withstood the eliminations attempt from 5 stars in a 2v4. But of course, MTG did interfere in that battle. Now there's nobody else to interfere in the battle of Rail G. It's a 2v4 that they cannot avoid. Question is, will Josue with the Scar on that level 2 be able to get the damage in before anything happens? And Real G gets the advantage with the circle as well. Josue, EP really low. Needs to be careful here with the Scar. Spots out Xavier. Opportunity. Has got the sniper in hand as well to get some sort of damage in. But the rotation from MTG, big brain plays coming on through. And they leave Roberto behind. Roberto, the distraction! And Pita Dori with the SVD rotation gets the elimination. 1 final player. And MTG says, hasta la vista, baby. We get the booyah.
They get the booyah indeed, and I'm loving the motion overall. Motion Gang, Zenitsu, Itadori, Roberto, as well as Savior. Earlier, they were going in, playing it safe. On that next map, they went in an early engagement when we thought that they would be taken out. They managed to survive. So this team definitely is going for survivability, the basics of Free Fire.
Yeah, the basics of Free Fire, and if you play the basics right, the game is going to bless you with a couple of extra points that you can be really, really proud of. They managed to walk away with a total of 11 eliminations towards the very end, and of course the 12 points from the Booyah puts them in a very good standing. If they can pull this off back-to-back, then they're definitely putting teams like Gavilanes at huge risk of being eliminated already, because you're looking at just about 50 points, 60 points. You know, that's what you want to do better than in order to be able to make it into the next stage, Neptune. And teams like Rail G might just be on their way to doing exactly that.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's one thing that we want to see overall. And as we look at the replay right now, this is how it ended up. How MTG Motion Gang managed to survive with a 4-man strong. That would be their advantage in this final circle. But we saw how CDG, or Real G rather, managed to go in for a clutch, but that was a little bit of help from MTG from that final battle, and that is one thing that they need to work out. Otherwise, they will be, yes, aggressive, but not so much surviving and grabbing all those 12 points for the Booyah.
Yeah, and salute to On Style, because that was a stylish way to walk away with 8 points and not a single elimination. They got to the final circle. No eliminations, pure survivability out of the squad, which is kind of cute to look at, but it's not really going to give you the best out there when you're planning to dominate, when you're planning to walk away with a big chunk of this $30,000 prize pool. We obviously need to see a little bit more hustle, but I think they are securing the more important part of the equation, finding the circle, as opposed to really gearing up for those eliminations. But it's equally as important as well, if not at points, a little bit more important than the placement points, of course, until we get to the grand finals, Neptune.
Yeah, definitely. And that's one thing that they really need to work on. Some of the teams, especially from what you mentioned for On Style, yes, survivability is something that they need to work on in the beginning, especially if you're trying to gauge how the players are, the opponents are in their rotation. And we've seen that. T-Rex did that. They tried to study their opponents earlier part, and then towards the latter end, the latter part of day one, that's where they gather a few eliminations. So Evolution overall, T-Rex has done it, because once they return on that day number 2, they just rocket all throughout the 4 matches.
Well, the comparison between the Rail G as well as CDG, Josue as well as Mao 7, it's not the two of us, it's the players, all right? The damage, obviously, Josue takes the cake here, but 5-5 eliminations, they are on an equal footing right now based on this game.
Definitely. I mean, good on eliminations overall. Real G, CDG, though they both have the G, I know they're both game overall. Whatever happens in terms of the battle, in terms of the drops, in terms of how they are rotating, they are really in a good spot to bring it on and battle in style. So this is Josue and Mao overall. In a bit, we're going to see, I guess, a team head to head, and who is really rocking it. If this is something that we want to see overall, comparison between the team in different maps, that is where that it will give us the story of how Group B is.
Yeah, I mean, no doubt at all. Talking about what's on meta, what's off meta, we saw some attempts with the G36 earlier on. But of course, before we kind of dive a little bit deeper into those guns that were used, overall stats here, 48 eliminations in total, and 11 out of that went to MTG, which is actually quite fancy. Good on them. 32,773 total damage dealt out there. What's insane is we've actually seen some teams walk away with this sort of a damage within, I believe, 2 games in the past as well. But we haven't seen that sort of supremacy out of North America just yet. I think these boys are still warming up here, Neptune.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, they are warming up. They don't want to show that much of skills or tactics overall, and they want to wait until it really matters. But for match standings right now, we are seeing MTG on top, 23 total points. With that Booyah together with 11 elimination, they are leading this map. Real G, though, very, very close. If it wasn't for that Booyah, they could have been taken, or they could have taken only one gap or one difference between Motion Gam. FBS, though, they grabbed the Booyah earlier, and now they have 16, so I guess they are on the lead in terms of, or after the 2 maps that we have.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, in the overall grand scheme of things, FVS earlier, they grabbed 20 points, now 16. Like you said, it's obviously going to be putting them in a very comfortable position. But MTG in the previous game, though, they didn't do too shabby at all. And now we look at the overall leaderboard with the 18 teams, not 24. And we see who has managed to sneak in here already. And obviously, MTG and FES are going to be listed there as well.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, very close already on the top 12. Gavilanes will be in trouble. And we're just talking about 2 matches compared to what Group A has taken like from the previous week. So 2 matches, you'll be able to catch up on the top 12. MTG, FBS is already there. So I want to see more of how they will bring up those numbers.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And of course, we do have a couple of other teams trying to squeeze their way up in here, but it doesn't matter, right? Teams like CDG, Don Chui, we need to see more hustle. NAF is out there as well. They don't have enough points, but it's only been 2 games. And at the end of the day, you know, teams are still trying to find their rhythm out here. And we can take T-Rex as the best example. Day 1, nobody wanted to look at T-Rex. T-Rex was on the second half of the leaderboard. They were in the bottom 6. And out of nowhere on day 2, they showed us what they're really capable of, right? And like you said, some of the teams hiding their strats, hiding their capabilities. We might just be able to see the best of them tomorrow. But the big question is, do you actually want to leave it to the very final moment, to the very final day? Or do you want to hustle a little bit earlier so that you can chill the rest of the way just by giving us that average performance? You know, I mean, we've seen Rosario do that already last week. I prefer that sort of a game style a little bit more, but of course it's not as exciting as T-Rex kind of not showing up on day 1 and then just, you know, just getting to the moon on day 2.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, if you can pull it off, then why not?
Yeah.
But if there's still some doubt, why not start little by little on day number 1 and then just finish off great? Doesn't have to be that much in terms of like performance, because we've seen some non-performers from Group A. So there's a huge chance if you remain consistent, top 3 overall, all throughout the 4 matches for 2 days, I'm pretty sure you will be on going in for the knockout stage by next week.
Absolutely, man. Now we are about to gear up for game 3, but y'all better gear up for giveaway number 4. And as usual, guys, you have to make sure that you're going towards the right spot to redeem these rewards. It's reward.ff.garena.com. All you need to do is grab a screenshot. Make sure you get there quickly, because only the first 100 players who redeems the code will be able to get the item. And Neptune, if you don't mind, please help us count down so that the players can grab a screenshot for themselves.
Instead of a countdown, let's do a drum roll right now. Go show you our code right now.
I swear, okay, I've seen some comments in the chat saying, you know, the code's not working. Yeah, the code's not working because you're not part of the quick 100 who's grabbing that screenshot, going to the website, punching it in, and getting it for yourself, because that's exactly what you need to do. And guys, this is not the only day where you'll be able to get the giveaways. We've got more giveaways coming up for you guys tomorrow, and they are not the same items, all right? So if you come back in here tomorrow, we will have a lineup of giveaways for you as well. So make sure you grab each and every single one of it every day.
Yeah, definitely. And I guess we don't have to worry about that last point in terms of giveaway, that it only happens in broadcast, because it seems like the moment it pops up, there's no waiting for the end of the broadcast. Everyone is going to redeem that. But that's one thing that you need to take note of, as well as the teams that are performing right now. Earlier, we saw 2 teams really pop off. MTG, FPS, that is a booyah each from both of these teams, but I want to see more from Real G. They're not far behind though, only 11 points to be able to catch up to FBS. So if they can bring it on this game number 3 in Nextera, I would love to see them really take the number 1 spot.
Yeah, man, and Gavilanes at this point of time, they're shaking in their boots, right? Because Gavilanes is done, and MTG in 2 games is 9 points away from them. So there's a high probability we will not see teams like Gavilanes, BBC News, Dark Hunters make it through to the next stage of the competition. But it's all right because it's the first time you're coming back here after 3 long years of dry season where esports has not really been, kicking it into high gear here in North America. So we're going to give these teams some time. Of course, if they're disappointed in this season, fingers crossed they go back to the training grounds and jump back into battle in the next season so much more stronger and give us something to scream about in a positive way, Neptune.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's good that you're coming back in here and then going back later on a little bit stronger. More storyline, similar to what we've seen some teams, but this time they're not waiting for any season. They are just waiting for one specific day. They don't show up in one day, but the following, they are really taking that lead. So that is that's one reason why T-Rex has managed to take our hearts from Group A. So we're seeing or looking for which team would that be in Group B.
Absolutely. And of course, as we gear up next Terra here once again, I'm thinking 9 teams are going to be jumping into battle. If we get more than 9 teams, I will be pleasantly surprised. But of course, at the end of the day, if it's the 9 teams, I expect to not see any early hot drops. Next Terra is a map that will be able to give these teams quite a bit of compound, quite a bit of cover to play around with as well. You see, the map just littered with a lot of these compounds as well as houses kind of close to each other. So even if they do end up in a hot drop situation, avoiding engagement and getting away is a possibility. But of course, you've got to be skilled enough to be able to pull that off. But Boxing Gym, straight up in front of these players. I hope somebody takes the bait this time.
Yeah, let's see now. I mean, if they take the bait, bring their boxing gloves and go in for an early engagement, that's what we're looking for. As you can see, the team's already dropping in far away from that high tier loot area, but hot drop might be happening between Tonyo as well as another team on Plazaria. So let's see who will be winning that fight. For the rest of the teams though, this might be a museum hot drop happening as well between MTG and CDG.
Yeah, absolutely, Tonyo. Opportunity Pana! So low on that HP, but thank goodness on his early drop, he found a glue wall to make good use of. Jason running that Wukong. MTG, Tonyo in this 4v4, and Pana with the P90 needs to hop on back in here to support the rest of his team members on style. Looking for the shutdown. Jason will get caught out. Even though he did have a decent gun on him, did not expect the king himself to get the jump on him.
Let's see though if they will be able to jump back into the play though, as on style managed to take down 2 players from Tonyo, and they are just winning this gunfight. Plazaria earlier on style was very passive, and now I guess they know. They are feeling it. They don't have to be passive anymore. They need to bring it on and increase the number of elimination that they have. Imagine out of 2 games, only 5 elimination has been taken by on style, and this is what they're working on right now. Elimination leader for this map and about to take down the team that is rocking on from the early parts of the 2 maps earlier.
Oh, well, Freestyle does manage to knock down Pana. And the comeback play here. Freestyle almost got a 3-for-3 as he sprays down Flash XP as well. But of course, with the numbers advantage that OnStyle has here, they quickly make good work of him. MTG on the back foot, backing away from the players of CDG. But the hunt is on as Talon finds Zenitsu, puts him on the ground. XM8 in hand, Talon. This will be a back-to-back, and Zenitsu bleeding out will be saved by Xavier. Has got that Mag 7 in hand, waiting for that opportunity to shut down the CDG player. Turning things around very quickly, and Xavier once again finding Talon. Mag 7 opportunity, but pulled out the gun 1 second too late, and the P90 finds Xavier's head.
Yeah, I mean, Xavier was doing good, but the confirmation of those knockdowns is not happening. Thus, they don't have any points just yet. And CDG seeing Zenitsu, and he will be taken down. And I guess this brings the 4 elimination already for CDG. But is MTG already out in this game? No, we still have Roberto right now trying to run away in the other direction compared to Zenitsu, but will King be able to hit them out? Plasma gun in hand! And there you have it! The accuracy coming from this gun is quite on point.
I am actually a little shocked because I absolutely suck on that gun. But MTG was on that #1 spot. They had the booyah from the previous game, and they had the momentum, and now that momentum has been clipped. What an unfortunate situation here. CDG, very happy with their performance thus far. They have no idea that they just knocked out the team that is at the very top of the leaderboard. And they're somewhere down the bottom in terms of performance. A total of 15 points over 2 games, 7.5 on average. So this is a good start for CDG overall.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, CDG, a chance really for them to catch up in terms of points. But this is the usual approach for CDG. Starting it off hot, and then later on, it's a survivability that they need to work on. Compared to FBS, though, they managed to get a lot in terms of snipes earlier. But I guess with Eric right now, with an AWM and insights of CLG, they might be able to take them down. But a little too quick in getting into the compound. Good rotation, though. And we are back in Rust Down. We're in not only FBS, what CLG needs to worry about, but also NA level F.
Yeah, absolutely. And let's see if or not this team can level up some of their points out there as well, because goodness knows they need them. NA level F. Oi! With an opportunity, but Queen gets dropped onto the ground. NAF, I was expecting them to pick up points, but it is CLG. Inhaler pumped by Charlie. Going in for the quick flank, and McQueen will be eliminated. NAF not getting to him in time. In fact, they're not even looking for that FGL shot. And Rakuzit is gonna pull Meliod out of his defenses. Just a sliver of health. MP40 in hand. P90 doesn't put the man down onto the ground just yet. And what a shot from Charlie!
Charlie almost out. Damage overall, but still managed to get that shot with the Woodpecker. And let's see if CLG can increase the points that they have right now. Elimination overall after taking a few on that side, but Don Chui with I'm Guts going in for that LMG gameplay. Insano, though, a little bit damaged, but needs to regroup with the rest of the teams because CDG will be coming in a bit.
Yeah, Medkit on the play here. We know they desperately need it. The electrotherapy pumping up Josue as well. But nowhere into rush in CDG. King out of nowhere. Finding John Chui's Insano. And Real G with an opportunity here to make big damage. King with the elimination. And now as Don Chui tries to get away from Real G, I don't know if or not they're going to luck out on this one.
Let's see, though. I mean, I know Real G has a potential to take down Don Chui, but they're just waiting for the next phase of the circle that will be coming up in a few seconds. But we have 13 right now. And I'm just talking about the player named 13 with an X and 3 eyes. Oh, is almost being taken down, but managed to get away on the window, pulling in CDG in this fight. But Don Chui, last player down the ground. Real G right now trying to defend themselves. Joshua almost taken down because CDG is knocking.
Yeah, I mean, Josue, crazy good glue wall play just to steal that point away from the players of CDG. Mouse 7 stepping on out and punished by 18 Duck and the MP40, but instantaneous pickup. Oh jam, 18 Duck sprayed down yet again, and CDG showing them exactly who is king. Real G with the instantaneous pickup onto 18 Duck as well. Josue, M590 in hand. Hockey does not see him approaching, but Real G just could not sustain the battle up against CDG. 13 eliminations. This is a mad rush now for points out of the squad.
Oh, definitely. I mean, Cartel de Golfo bringing in all those points. But compared to 5-star, this is where 5-star really needs to move up. If they want to maintain their momentum right now, especially with MTG already down or Motion Gang already down, with 1 point difference between them, FVS can take that lead unless someone else will be rocking it with plenty of points. For Tonya, though, after revival from 3 players, they are being passive, but Cord from Yason, I've used this so much. This is good even in long range, but you will need some backup, especially if you're going in for the rest of the team, because the fire rate is not so far.
Yeah, absolutely. And Lopez just staying calm here because the circle on the approach from the back, but they don't want to make too big of a mistake here. As Team 5 stars being left high and dry by this circle. It's just circle number 2, so there's not a lot of damage overall. But if they do get caught out here by Don Chui, this is going to be a little bit of a sticky situation. Insano with the grenade out of nowhere. Jonas Wick down on the ground. Instantaneous pickup coming on through. No follow-up from Don Chui. And 5 stars get that recovery on play.
Let's see, though, if Don Chui will be able to get points. I know that they have the potential, but they haven't gotten a confirmation on those knockouts just yet. And they will need to move into next phase of the circle. Yes, second, going into third, not so much of pain that will be brought in, especially in the HP. But once it goes into that third phase, it will be trouble. Eric right now bringing the troubles just straight into the team, almost taking them out. And I saw how they drop in. They pick specifically those who are spreading out, almost use up all those armor for the vehicle, and it was about time if they can take them down. But they managed to survive, though, so good on them.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And the circle just torturing these players again, just like what we saw in Bermuda earlier on. But it was MTG in that zone. This time it is Don Chui with 5 stars right beside them. But Tonio, 2 eliminations in hand so far, has to go up against CLG. CLG on for the hunt for points as well as the climb up the leaderboard. They're 3 points behind RG overall based on the previous game. So they're definitely calculating their moves here. And the 3 points that they need to catch up, they've already got in the bag through eliminations. But they want to make sure they also undo whatever points that RG collects on their side as well. So stopping here obviously would be pretty silly. Insano down on the ground, freestyle with the scarf from afar. Back to back here, multiple eliminations on the battlefield.
Oh, triple kill coming from Charlie as well as Tonyo Yason will be the next target for CLG. So Plazaria has been taken, but they need only to move in the final minute. This is very close to the next phase of the circle, and there's not so much of teams waiting on them. So they can take advantage of the position they have in Plazaria, take down Tonyo, who is spread out a little bit too thin, but Lopez already down. Yason trying to survive. And this guy will need to move in a few seconds. Wukong already used, so there's not so much of hiding once he gets into the open.
Yeah, I agree, man. I mean, he used that Wukong to back away, although it was unnecessary. Now he doesn't have his active skill to play with if it gets into a unfortunate situation for him. But look at this. 5 stars on the left, CLG on the right. What do? Nothing much, man. You just have to find the compound for yourself. But he's just flirting with the danger blue zone now. The damage output from this circle is going to be one that he cannot afford to take on. But in the overall grand scheme of things, I think Tonio is done in this match. Unless, of course, Yason has got some sort of a miracle. 600 coins. He's looking for the vending machine. But the prevention from CLG. And it is none other than Drakusita with the elimination. Second one off the game, and CLG is looking for more.
Oh, definitely has 7 already on the board, but on style right now, trying to increase that number. CDG is their target, but it also gives them information where On Style is. So hopefully they will get a good position later on because they are outside the next phase of the circle, but they cannot get out in the open just yet. They need to deal, at least knock down one of the players of CDG, and that is a cue that they can move because they will be busy with picking them up. But no, On Style will try to go for the confirmation. This should be the time that they are moving on the next phase.
Yeah, the VSS in the hands of On Style. Just so deadly with the accuracy and damage. Now 7, great pickup. 14 eliminations for CDG. And they want a little bit more. They want the booyah as well for a massive game for themselves. CLG looking for the exact same. But On Style looking for the prevention. They desperately need points, which they have not been collecting all match long.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, they really need all those points. As we look in CLG against CDG, only 1 letter difference against them. But at this point, if one team will win, it would be massive numbers overall. And on the other side, we are seeing Don Chui as well going in against FBS. 5-star might be left with only 1 star once the blue closes.
Riot down on the ground. Charlie, a sliver of health. He gets put down as well. Don Chui out of nowhere, wrecking the players of 5-star. CLG getting wrecked by CDG. And it is the one and only Cartel they go for. Looking for 2 more eliminations. Gomez Rio, really low on his HP as well. Rakusita with the AWM, trying to contain On Style of all teams. Not focusing towards his left-hand side as they try to make that rotation with those glue walls. One final glue wall here. Left for Rakusita. AWM in hand, misses 2 shots back to back. 1 more HP. And the circle still is kind to him. Superman and Rakusita should be... Bye-bye. How unfortunate. I didn't expect to see that. But CLG out in the open. Don Chui, on the other hand, 9 eliminations. What a big game this one is for so many of these teams now. Of course, Neptune will give us his thoughts about that in a little bit. As the circle now starts to shift towards the left-hand side, giving the advantage to teams like Don Chui. NAF, of course, having that a little bit of advantage to their side, but they only have 1 player left, so I don't know how much they can do with the circle advantage. Don Chui, on the other hand, 9 eliminations strong. High ground as well. Talent trying to get himself out of this sticky situation. Has got the jump pad right beside him for the use. FVS, Garrick from up top, P90. Garrick taking his shots. And the circle tags him up as Cartel, the Golfo, gets eliminated in the 5th spot. And on King. 1 elimination in hand. Up against 4 players out of Don Chui. Garrick right behind. Opportunity to play a little bit of interference here. And all thanks to the Nairi. On King does manage to top his health up just a little bit. Superman in hand as well. Gus makes 1 big mistake. On King gets him with the VSS, but instantaneously traded out with that AN94. 11 eliminations for Don Chui. And I'm Guts actually bought back in such a late part of this matchup. That's just insane, Nep. Sao, Insano, I'm Guts. Desperately trying to play the survival. Don Chui. 5 stars. 1 final player left in here. Looking for the booyah. Miraculously. Somehow. But I'm not too sure exactly how is he going to be able to pull this one off with Don Chui and their full squad. And now Don Chui just needs 1 more player out of NAF. And Edwin with the P90 is not going to be able to get this done just purely with the medkits because man is out of medkits. Edwin going up against I'm Guts. Both of them, same gun. And it looks like I'm Guts is just taking pot shots at him. Final medkit used up. 2 more glue walls. Edwin just trying to spray down as much as possible. Looking for the elimination onto I'm Guts. But man does not understand. There are 3 more players waiting for him patiently down at the bottom. And Edwin's not even able to take this first item out of the equation in the name of I'm Guts. And this guy definitely has the guts to take him on because of that gun that he has in hand. But unfortunately, no more medkits in the hands of I'm Guts. That final glue wall used as well. Edwin refusing to move away from his spot. And now the circle has started closing in already. Edwin, we have been waiting for a booyah for long enough. When is this man going to jump off of this building? He will be forced off soon by the circle. And I'm Gut still not letting off at all. He's looking for this elimination. He wants to beat the rest of his team members to it. And Edwin with the false flick towards the top, looking for the headshot, will miss. Just the wrong gun to have in a tense final circle situation like this.
Yeah.
Assault rifle could have made a big difference now.
Yeah, definitely. And apologies for dropping off. I mean, I have been taken by that blue. Now, Edwin from an A level F.
Oh.
Well, there's no option for him but just do that emote. And there we have it. We have the booyah being taken by Don Chui after surviving all those onslaught as well as managing to get into the final circle.
Yeah, so I don't know if NAF understands that that's actually against the rules. You cannot give your life to the blue in a final circle situation. You have to go and take that fight. So he has prevented his opponents from grabbing that 1 point, but we don't know if that is actually going to end up with his team losing a few points because of what he just did.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, he could have just jumped out in there, try to target the opponents right there. But if he did went in slightly in the middle of the circle, then that would probably give him a pass.
Yeah.
Because it's more of a survivability overall, not really being eliminated by the blue in that final circle. But I guess he had no choice. He had no choice, no option in any way possible that he can fight against Don Chui. So let's see. We'll have to see if this is something that they can work on later on. But as we look into the final circle, this is where they were left at with only the blue to deal with.
Yeah, I mean, so at the end of the day, Edwin literally could have gotten his team, one extra elimination point, but the guy just decides to emote and then give his life to the blue. Again, this in the other circuits that we have shoutcasted for is actually against the rules. So we'll have to double check and see if or not NAF gets any point deductions for that one. Edwin, that was cute, but probably not very recommended to pull off again. Now, 3 games, 3 different teams have managed to grab this booyah, but 5 stars got very, very close this time around in this game.
Yeah, definitely. Very, very close indeed. And I'm really looking forward to how 5-star is going to move themselves a little bit higher into this game. Because after MTG was being eliminated, I was looking forward for them to really take the lead.
Yeah.
Because they have a good chance.
Yeah.
Like MTG already out, FBS, especially with Eric, as well as the rest of the teams will be able to go. Rest of the team for FBS will be able to get all those points. So in fact, we're going to find out as well how much points they gathered in this game.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And of course, FBS getting into the final, somewhere around the final circle, still stands a big chance of pulling away a decent number of points to maintain their pressure to climb up the leaderboard, right? Because MTG was ahead of them, and MTG got eliminated very, very early on. 5 stars did manage to get to the final circle, but I didn't see massive numbers of eliminations on their side. But either way, they were only, I believe, 9 points behind MTG. So 9 points is nothing much at all. As far as they have gotten, maybe 3 or 4 eliminations and got maybe 7 placement points, that's already 11. So they will be able to overtake MTG in the overall grand scheme of things. But of course, we have to check the leaderboard for this matchup. In the grand scheme of things, it's not a big loss for MTG with 1 booyah in their pocket already. And we know this is a big elimination squad, right? They can get the job done up against the rest of these teams out there. So faltering in this one game in Nextera doesn't really put them in an unfortunate position. They're still in the top 3. They just need to deliver on Kalahari, though.
Yeah, as we look at the MVP right now, CDG Hockey with 7 elimination as well as 2,940 on the damage. Even assist and headshot is at a different high. And well, let's look at the active and passive skill. We have Coda, we have not quite sure if this is something that we definitely have. I'm seeing Coda, yes, definitely is active, but I guess the rest is might have changed. But Diva in there can bring them all those pick up. Steel Shell with that flash. I'm pretty sure this guy is one heck of a survivor. Backs on the opponents, they still manage to survive, plus the plasma gun as well.
Yeah. So Koda's definitely not running the Oscar, Koda, as well as Clue at the same time. We do apologize for the error with the data here, but I'm pretty sure Koda was used in the overall grand scheme of things. Hockey, the MVP, 7 eliminate. Okay, if he did bring in all 3 of these active skills, number 1, this man is hacking. But we don't think that is the situation here. But Hockey with the MVP, but the head-to-head up against Team 13, 7 to 6 eliminations, 2,009 damage versus 1,006 damage. Shows that Team 13, it shows that 13 is just a little bit more proficient on his squad in terms of converting the damage to elimination.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, what we've seen earlier was 13 was also the final guy for Don Chui. And imagine only having 1 player remaining, and then you get back up, grab that booyah, and that's a good storyline, especially for Don Chui. But as we look into the head-to-head between these 2 teams, Don Chui on the left, 12 elimination, 6,000 on damage, and then we have CDG on the right, 5th on the placement. Doesn't matter. They have 17 elimination, almost 10k on the damage. You know that they really brought it on.
Yeah, okay, all right. So this is going to put CTG now somewhere around the top 3 range, because there were very few points between these teams after the first 2 games, and this should be able to launch them up towards the top. 17 eliminations is insane, and they do rip away the most number of eliminations in total from this lobby. Out of 53 eliminations, 17 belonging to them. Just shows how capable CDG is. But in terms of the consistency bout, this is where we need to see more out of CDG. A total rescues 25, which means these teams are absolutely lethal out here on North America, because they're not allowing those pickups to come forth at all. But this could also be a big question mark. Are we not seeing the right active-passive skill combinations here for the support players now?
Yeah, I mean, and that's one thing that we really need to look into, because the combination of active passive skill brings in a different approach in terms of playing Free Fire. A little bit of mix up with my P's and F's there, but you know how it is. You need to focus on your game style and then apply those combinations together with the meta. We started our day with that note. So hopefully they will be able to find that perfect formula overall to put that into play.
Okay, so an update for you guys. Giving your life to the blue circle is not an infraction, so there will be no infraction points there whatsoever. So it is most definitely allowed. So a great loss of his life to the blue circle with that emote especially. That was very, very cute. But at the end of the day, you want to be a team like CDG, right? Claiming all of those elimination points. And look at this, man. Although Don Chui does not manage to rack in those eliminations just like CDG, because CDG did not get enough placement points on their side, they do not overtake Don Chui on that number 1 spot. Just a total of 23 for them. Don Chui rips away 24, all thanks to the 12th out of the eliminations and the booyah as well.
Definitely. I mean, elimination really brings in a lot, but if you get far away from that booyah or the placement point, that you will be left in there with only 1 point difference. So let's see how this ends up though on the overall standings, because pretty much, as I did mention, CDG, with all those work that they've done, it will bring them a little bit closer together with FBS as well as MTG. So going in, looking at 13th down, we have FBS 5-star already taking the lead because MTG has been eliminated a little bit early, and then CDG follows.
Yeah, so once again, man, Dark Hunters, BBC News, Gavilanes, they are shaking in their pants right now because there's nothing that they can do. And look at this. In just 3 games, teams like FVS, MTG, CDG, CLG have all managed to catch up with them. And I will not be surprised if they do not manage to, I would not be surprised if they do manage to overtake Gavilanes and squad with just this next game.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, looking forward to it overall. And, one thing that we want to see as well, or want to set this expectation as well, is I know you might be thinking it's very far from the teams that you did mention, AJ, from Group A. But we're talking about the end, or it's almost the end of only day number 1.
Correct, yes.
And we still have tomorrow. That is going to happen. So if that is the case, a lot from Group A will be taken out.
And thanks to our production, we also have this fun fact for you guys. CDG did not get into that first match. So this is 38 points off of just 2 games, which is honestly pretty insane. They could be over FBS right now. CDG could be that number 1 team if they just made that into that first matchup. Now we know why they were kind of just, just chilling, right? Because they know, regardless of anything, brother, we'll be able to dominate by the end of the day. So teams better watch out. And I don't just mean teams from Group A that did not do all that too well. Teams in Group B that are doing well still needs to watch out for CDG. This wrecking machine is on the way to grab that number 1 spot.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, a lot of performance coming from this team. Now we look at the remaining teams from Group B. We have Real G, Tonyo, as well as NA Level F. Though I know we've seen them in so much engagement earlier, but we're not seeing a lot of consistency. Yes, they're grabbing all those numbers, but in terms of consistency, moving up a little bit higher in Group B is still far away from them.
Yeah, and NA Level F, just like CDG, have only played 2 games thus far, and it's really not helping them out at all. We need to see more from them, and you know what we need to see more of? Giveaways, baby, because like we promised you, it is just going to go back to back non-stop here, but it's only for the first 100 players that manage to redeem the code. We've already told you the website if you want a refresher on that, so make sure you write this down. It's reward, reward.ff.garena.com. That's exactly where you go to redeem this code that we'll show you in 3, 2, 1. Boom! There you go. Take that screenshot, hit that redeem, and make sure you flex it with all of the other survivors who were not on this broadcast. And you come back in here tomorrow as well, because we've got brand new codes each and every single day now.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you can help out those who put it in the chat so that they can easily copy it and paste it onto the redemption site. Because if you already redeemed it, you will be able to help out all those survivors watching with you. So let's keep it open. Let's help out each other as well. But again, setting the expectation, only first 100 will be getting that. So you need to be fast.
I'm pretty sure if these guys are taking that screenshot, they're not putting it in the chat. They're sending it to their own clan members and saying, hey, bro, I just got the code. Make sure you redeem it as well. If you're doing that, that's absolutely fine. But make sure you bring in your friends here tomorrow as well to tune into the broadcast together with us, so that together, the audience, the players, broadcast, as well as the casters, we get to build up the Free Fire scene once again here in the USA. North America has been rocking it so far in terms of the mechanical skills. We want to see a little bit more of that rocked on the strategy part as well. The active passive skills has got my mind a little bit boggled thus far, but I'm pretty sure North America is trying to prove something great, that we do not need the perfect combinations to find the domination net.
Yeah, definitely. They need to get into motion, an evolution in terms of how they work it out into the game. Kalahari now is our final game, final map for this day, and we're going to see though if Eric as well as the rest of the snipers in this group will be able to rock it on, as well as those rushers who will be utilizing the hook gun in their battle.
Yep, if you don't utilize the hook gun, you're probably going to get hooked like a fish out there, because teams will be fishing for those points. from the high ground. And speaking of high ground, high tier loot zone at Shrines, an MTG straight out towards Oldhampton, and potentially a possible rotation in towards Shrines as well. I am surprised 4 games in and teams haven't really smartened up about that high tier loot zone. They should be aiming for it because it really gears you up for battle later on. And it looks like NAF is in for a treat here early game on a hot drop.
Yeah, definitely. Let's see, though, who will be going down that engagement. But Don Chui, the team that managed to grab the Booyah earlier, is, well, no contention overall as to where they drop. They drop in a little bit farther outside of the loot in the southern side near Mammoth. But for NA level F right now in a battle, Melioda will not be able to put in a melody into that dance, and he will be going down.
No melody into those steps, man. I mean, when you dance with 2 left foot, you know exactly what's gonna happen. You get capped, and Edwin, the exact same thing happened to him as well. Bringing in the Vector to a Trogon fight. That shotgun takes him out of the equation. And NA level F is failing miserably at this battle. Sanchez pulling out the Wukong. Question is, who is it trying to avoid?
Yeah, let's see though. I mean, Sanchez is good to use this, but if you use it a timer and not no one showing up, you will not be able to get any headshots with a shotgun. That's pretty much how it works, especially in Clash Squad. But in Battle Royale, wherein you have plenty of space, not so much of pressure in terms of time, I don't think that is the best active skill to be used. So on style right now with 2 elimination and leaving out the opponent high and dry, Sanchez will be going away.
And good play overall from Sanchez, using the Wukong to find a way out, staying out of the eyesights of his opponents, obviously giving him a little bit of room to back away here. And his opponent's kind of looking for the loot instead of looking for the player, which shows the dedication to suit up for the next battle instead of looking for just 1 or 2 bonus points out there through those eliminations. Of course, if they had caught Sanchez, it would have been the elimination of a team very, very early on in this game. Now, 5 stars potentially engaging up against Don Chui here. And Don Chui is pretty much spread out on the battlefield right in front of them with nowhere to go and limited resources to work with when it comes to the glue walls. So Don Chui in a lot of trouble now.
Yeah, definitely in trouble indeed. And let's see if they'll be able to move away, probably get into a different location, because I'm pretty sure what they're aiming for is survivability. They did it earlier, and now they plan to do it again. Elimination, yes, they will just wait for it along the way, but not early in this game. And this is something that annoys you, AJ,
Yes.
but I guess production really wants to annoy you that much.
I tell you, this skin, it's fine looking at the skin. The skin is interesting. I wouldn't call it cute, but it's interesting. But when you get killed and your opponent is using that skin, that's just rubbing salt in my wound, bro. It's just so annoying. But and by the way, I'm speaking about this. You can tell I have been knocked down quite a number of times already by players using that skin. So it's a flex skin for sure.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, and then they look at you. You know, when you're looking at your eliminator, then they go in and turn around, like just to flex that they cleared the squad. But, well, for Sawa right now, no regards for 13. What he is aiming for is to get far, far away, just make sure that Don Chui is safe and can recover later on.
Yeah, absolutely. And 1,500 coins in his pocket to bring back his buddies, looking for a vending machine in a safe spot. So he's got the right idea here. And on Kalahari, if you're using those vehicles, it's very dangerous because we've got many snipers out here. I'm Guts with the cord, headshot, takes down 1 player out of the equation here on the side of 5 stars. And Don Chui on the back foot very early on here. But of course, there's a vending machine to play around with at Mammoth to bring their players back.
Yeah, so it's either I'm Guts going to Mammoth vending machine or Salwo on confinement. They're, like very far. It's very far between the two players right now from Don Chui, but that is something that is smart survivability wise. But as we go in, look into three teams on style. Going in for a battle against two, but Mao from CDG managed to take down the player, which is Flash, with that AC-80. And then Hockey right now, still in the plasma gun. The MVP from the previous match, already bringing it on and taking down two.
Hockey is on a roll on King, has got the M590, and a great play with that A124, but it was not enough to stop Hockey and his shots. Yes, the Coda would not be able to be used, but the guy already used it. So overall, CDG, phenomenal play out of this guy here named Hockey. P90 in hand. Not the strongest SMG to use, but the rate of fire and the mag size definitely gives you an edge in the battle.
Yeah, and definitely. And, well, just to clarify, we just saw what Hockey was using in terms of passive skill. So it does have the Kairos as well as that Otho together with that Diva. So that's one thing that you need, or the viewers out there need to take note of, because if you want to be a little bit tankier, if you want to go for engagement, especially the Kairos with additional EP conversion, that is one thing that you can use for this battle. CDG, though, going in for those shots, but none being made. Let's see if Hockey can increase the numbers, like numbers of elimination from this MVP.
Yep, and I'm pretty sure they can, with an opportunity to kind of rotate away as well and not really play against Tonio. Talent! VSK in hand. Could have gotten that headshot. Yes, unfortunate. A millimeter miss. And obviously, Tonio's going to be happy that their player did not get clipped. Next circle is going to leave everyone high-end, right? Moves towards a compound that has got no players whatsoever. So everybody on that move in. Question is, who is on the back foot? Teams like Don Chui as well as CDG are at risk of being gate-kept from getting into this next zone nap.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, they are very far away already into the edge of the previous circle. And now the shift has moved away from the rest of the teams. And this is why I love Battle Royale, especially in Free Fire, because at some point, you try to calculate where the next phase of the circle is. But now, it seems like this is really very random. The shift is very random, that you cannot anticipate where you have to go. So you need to go for the tactics overall in your rotation. So let's see who will be bringing that in this game as we look in Real G. Alex has been taken down, only one elimination, and Duck almost being hit as well. So the sniper right now, and Joe Jam, we hadn't seen him in where Joshua as well as 18 Duck is, but I guess they need to move out.
Yeah, CDG rotated away, and Real G playing it real smart by moving away from their opponents that just managed to take away a player from their side. They cannot afford to lose another one. Instead, they need to focus on those revivals. And at this point of time, the compound does still hold a couple of those vending machines for them to play before the circle makes those zones unplayable. So a good retreat coming through from the team. Real G, on the other hand, 18 Duck and Josue, they've got the money, but no vending machine inside.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough right now. Unless you will be able to sneak in onto any teams that has a vending machine that they are guarding, then they will be able to bring back to a teammates. But Itadori, no question that he needs a little bit of cover. Sinetsu missing all those shots with the Thompson. And it is just that jump that is bringing havoc against MTG.
What's up with MTG, man? I mean, after the booyah that we saw on Solara, MTG really has not hit hard at all. 0 eliminations in hand at this point of time. Drakusita bleeding out, and this is that opener for MTG to play that recovery. But Don Chui is not too far away, and we were thinking Don Chui might be gate kept, but they're actually sweeping player after player as they make their way in towards that next safe zone nap.
Yeah, let's see though if the next safe zone will be saving them. Brenda's a fight. 4 elimination already for Don Chui, and they need to move because this is second and third, and a lot of damage not only coming from the HP, but also those teams who are gatekeeping. But MTG managed to recover or revive two of their teammates, and I guess this is their chance to really survive in this fight going into the final circle.
Now, CDG and gang on the long rotation away, but Don Chui, Sao, you can see that is just right behind King. Both players on that revive. And Don Chui's Sao is just a little bit too far away from the rest of his team members. He's desperately trying to fly straight towards them. But MTG outside the circle between him and the rest of his members manages to find a vehicle for himself. 3,000 coins in his pocket. Question is he actually going to give up his life here? Taking a very risky maneuver with the motorcycle. Can play the revival onto Insano, but insanely so, he does not. Moving straight out towards Foundation. Thankfully, nobody catches him off guard here. And straight towards CDC now. I'm quite confused as to what Sao's doing.
I mean, probably looking for a quieter spot, because every time he tried to go in for the vending machine, gunshots will be happening, and you don't want to risk it.
Yeah.
But I don't think there's any quiet spot anymore, because we are almost into the fourth phase of the circle. Zenitsu will be dealing with 13. Backstab overall. The hook gun doesn't save him, and Don Chui loses yet another player. Now, I guess Sao will be able to bring teammates back. This is what he has been waiting for, especially with that Fast and Furious move that he did with the motorcycle.
Ooh. CDG and Don Chui right up top with eliminations at the moment, and MTG have picked up those points as well. Full team recovery. Don Chui losing Rakusita in the mix. The question is, will we see MTG successfully pull off a couple of more points here? They've sent that UAV out already. Information is on their side. CLG wrapping around NA level F as well as the Don Chui players. 18 Duck finding Tonio. Tonio out of nowhere. Now losing player after player. Lopez, M1887 in hand. 18 Duck going in for the shutdown, but gets caught out instead.
Yeah, I mean, that's one thing, very unfortunate. And we have Real G being eliminated a little bit early. Don Chui being taken down as well, despite of all the effort that they done in terms of survivability. They are taking down on 7th. Now, as we look in an A-level F on 6th. So this is where everything is going down. 4th, going to the 5th phase of the circle with 5 teams remaining.
Oh my. Now, this is the part where you cannot flirt with the circle anymore because she will bite. CDG, and an opportunity to gatekeep the players of 5 stars before they get into the circle, but using the terrain to their advantage, 5 stars does very well to take minimal damage as they pull this rotation of Hockey with a sliver of health. Playing with fire here as he challenges Kenny. And with the SVD, Kenny is going to be the more deadlier one. Hockey desperately trying to find another knock for himself. But I think the player is just taking a little bit too much of unnecessary risk. We'll catch up with him in a little bit as Kenny continues to desperately send the shots the way of CLG looking for a knock.
Let's see though if a knock will be happening at this point. 4th going into the 5th phase of the circle. 5 teams remaining at this point, and Jonas Wick will try to go in for the flank. I guess he will be the initiator right now in terms of positioning and looking into where the next phase of the circle is. Only one compound that can be utilized in that next phase. And who's very near? It is FVS. 5-star who might be able to grab this booyah.
Yeah, at this point in time, you're going to be hoping and praying that you did not lose too many of those blue walls in the earlier skirmishes. CDG, Hockey bleeding out, but the pickup is not going to be impossible. Back up on his feet, Talon with a sliver of health. But MTG, Time Turner pulled out. Is that the right time though? Because MTG rushing straight into the Time Turner, taking all of these shots. Roberto out of nowhere. God nade onto Talon. MTG looking for the shutdown. Hockey getting away with a sliver of health left on him. Survives for just an extra second. And the Penta for Xavier. M590 supremacy continues.
Yeah, and MTG though, full squad against Hockey, the MVP that we had earlier. This might be it. CDG might be taken down, but not before CLG. 3 teams remaining. MTG still a full squad. This is what they did earlier, and they're trying to pull it off once again.
Yeah, Antonio looking for their first booyah of the day. 5 stars as well as MTG for their second booyah of the day. Question is who gets the luck on their side, MTG and FVS. One player knocked down from each side, but MTG on that recovery. Player back up on his feet. FVS now 1 player down and open grounds here. But MTG has got a very, very suitable defensive spot for themselves, and the circle will be approaching them as well to gatekeep everybody else. Spraying down Eric. Rekka found as well by Itadori, and it is going to be the Scar supremacy as MTG hits down player after player to pick up points for themselves.
I mean, it's bad enough that they are continue on steam rolling FBS right now, but the shift is still favoring MTG, so they had no choice but to rush in against them. Tonyo would 2, FBS with 1, MTG very close to looking into the booyah. It's just depending on who will be taking that second place.
Yeah, MTG losing that number 1 spot to FVS just in the previous game. But obviously in a great position to grab it right back. Kenny, the final player on the side of FVS, and he falters as well. We are left with just 2 more teams. MTG up against Tonio. It's a 4v2. Tonio's going to need a miracle to pull this play right back. Those frags will be dropped, and what a shot from Zenitsu straight to the head. Freestyle down on the ground, and here comes that rush outside the circle, and MTG grabs the final booyah of the day.
Yeah, the final booyah of the day and their second booyah for this week as well. Motion Gang just bringing in the motion for this game. And yep, I mean, we just mentioned that we just talked about them earlier before this game, before the start of this day, and now they are really showing up. And I want to see how much more they have brought in, especially in terms of numbers.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, in the overall grand scheme of things, I think more than 24 for the side of MTG for sure, depending on the numbers that FVS managed to put in as well. We get to see the gap between them in a little bit, but overall, the only team to secure 2 booyahs from today. MTG, this is a very, very good consistency from them. Of course, in the previous game, they got eliminated a little bit too early. In fact, they were the first team to get eliminated. So, and that's exactly how the RNG of Battle Royales kind of affect you sometimes on these early drops. Unsuspecting because your opponents might just be a little bit closer to you. With the better gun, you get sprayed down. But it's all about the recovery play. And MTG, they recovered very, very well, Neptune.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, 2 remaining from one of the engagement that they went in, and then they brought the teammates back, and they just farmed a few more points along the way, trying to get away from the rest of the teams. The rotation from Mammoth onto the final circle was just prime for them, and they know how to choose their fights. They don't want to go aggressive, especially if they're losing at least one of their players. So that's how MTG is making it work. Thus, 2 booyahs for today.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I mean, this is what we want to see out of a team. Consistency, capability, MTG showing us both of that today. And MTG, just like that, will be able to launch themselves into the top 12. We are looking for the top 18 teams. And with MTG being in the top 12, you know they are going to qualify for the next stage of our competition. Mostly because we are looking for the top 18. And Group A is not going to be playing anymore for the qualifiers here in terms of the group stage. So, I mean, great play by MTG. They've already succeeded just in this one day of play. And Xavier, the MVP, 5 eliminations, 6 assists, rocking it with the electrotherapy that Cassie allows you to play.
Yeah, I mean, Xavier as a support, he should be named Savior. So Savior the Savior at this point. Yes. But imagine the support with M590. That is an aggressive support overall. Yeah. But head-to-head, we have Savior and Kenny. Elimination-wise, they are tied up. But in terms of damage, it is being taken by Savior overall. Even the revives, well, he is the support. So this is one thing that he is assigned to. So I'm looking forward to what else Savior has to offer. The same goes with Motion Gang.
if you're assigned to support, but if you are doing the heavy lifting as well, then it just truly makes you a very capable player on the side of MTG. But of course, we want to take a look at the team head-to-head between the Tonio squad as well as MTG. 14 to 9 eliminations. Obviously, Tonio getting eliminated in that second spot, but they did not manage to collect as many of those eliminations, just like MTG, and they didn't have the numbers. Were they capable of walking away with the Booyah? Yes, but they needed to have a full squad to play a fair fight up against MTG. That did not happen. Unfortunate for them. So this head-to-head, although MTG takes the cake, I think Tonio still has got a lot to show us, and we'll be able to tune into some of that tomorrow for sure, Nep.
Yeah, definitely. And as we look into today's overall, especially in the final match, we have MTG 14 elimination, but the total elimination is just leading into 50. So not so much. Well, probably it's because we have less teams playing today, but I want to see more of that for tomorrow. And again, we've set the expectation already. We did expect that for today, there will be less players, there are less teams, but how MTG is doing it, in grabbing as much point as possible, it is quite, I would say, impossible just yet compared to what we expect that they will be bringing on, especially in terms of points.
And MTG is that team that has got 5 rushes. Sorry, 6 rushes, including their sub player. They have got 6 rushes. And this was the question we came up with at the start of the day. When you've got all-out rushes, are you going to be able to get the job done? If you want to get the job done, you need to have capability in the squad. And that's exactly what they have. And they kind of fooled us. It's not that all of their rushes are purely rushing in with the CQC guns. We do see the sniper setup. I think we did see Itadori with a long-range attack, although he did play the MP40 quite a lot out there. Zenitsu as well, with the M82B at one point of the time in the game. So this is exactly what we need to see out of teams like MTG. And as anticipated, in the top 12, MTG sits now in the 8th spot. But in the overall grand scheme of things, when you look at the top 18, we need to look at the fact that both BBC News and Gavilanes now has lost their top 12 spots.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we are looking into top 18 for those going into the next phase, but this is good comparison on how it is going to end up in knockout stage, because if you will be overtaken after one day of battle and you went in on 2 matches already, or 2 days or 8 matches to be precise, then you are in trouble. That's one thing that you need to work on. But again, there's so much potential coming from Group B right now, catching up in the points against Group A, given the fact that we only have less players, less teams to deal with.
Antonio, although they did not manage to walk away with a single Booyah today, they put in enough points to climb into the top 18. This is not very risky for Tonio because of how few points teams like Gavilanes and BBC News have picked up for themselves, including Dark Hunters. Tonio can definitely catch up with Dark Hunters very, very quickly. Even Team Fighters, to catch up with them is not going to be too impossible. If Tonio pulls in the exact same number of points that they've pulled in today, they are going to be in the top 6 by tomorrow. So, in the grand scheme of things, Tonio's not really at risk. They just need to keep this up. Great plays from them. A total of 20 eliminations is not the most scariest thing that we have seen, but it's average plays, right? So this is definitely very much acceptable. Of course, if we can see 30 eliminations in a day, or close to 40 eliminations in the day, then you're going to be topping the charts for sure, and we're going to be keeping our eye on you.
Yeah, definitely. And well, as we look into the second page, the remaining 3 teams who might be being taken out as we look into our following day, we have Real G on Style, as well as NA Level F, which is NA Level F would be the team that is mostly in trouble, because 37 for both Real G and On Style, it's still very close to the 42 that Tonio has already. So only 5 points a difference, and they can easily move in to the top 18 and get into the knockout stage. But for NA Level F, we've seen them tried their best to survive, but the moment that they go in against a team, they are just being wiped out that easily.
Yeah, man. I mean, a little unfortunate for NA Level F for sure. But who knows? Maybe they're playing the T-Rex strategy. Don't show up, go get that information, just warm those fingers up, but not go all out. Tomorrow is just one solid day where they need to get about 40 points. If they get 40 points, they get to secure the qualifier for sure. But that's easier said than done for sure now.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, easier said than done. So let's see, though, if they will be able to work it out. One thing that I would tell the team, especially those who are far away from the 18th spot, is the 12th spot. Let's put in a target as a 12th spot. Do your homework, review the VODs, try to look into your mistakes as well as your opponent's mistakes, strengths, and weaknesses, and then play it off from there.
And avoid the rest of the teams, man. I mean, too many hot drops today. I mean, many of these North American teams in Group B are having the same sort of a mindset, right? They're jumping out of the flight very, very late. And very late basically means you have very few compounds to work with. And not a single team went for that high-tier loot zone. So I assume tomorrow we're going to have multiple teams going for the high-tier loot zone because all of them are going to think that nobody's going for it, so let's go for it.
Yeah, let's see. Let's see, though, who will be going for the high-tier loot zone. That is a gameplay that really wowed us in other tournaments. Like, they just chase for the high-tier loot zone, and every time they go for the engagement, they just, like, all resources, all ready, all, like, firepower overall is just on them. So there's very little chance for them from losing.
Yeah, absolutely. And, of course, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, survivors of all ages, that brings us to the closing of our day one for Group B. Tomorrow is going to be the final opportunity for Group B to pull in these points before we rack them up against the teams from Group A. And the top 18 get to move on into the knockout stage. And don't forget, tomorrow we've got brand new giveaways coming up for you guys as well. It will not be the same items that you have collected today. It's going to be all unique items. So make sure you meet us on the broadcast tomorrow. Same place, same time. My name's AJ. I'm the Mustachio down here with Neptune the Gentleman Garcia on behalf of broadcast as well. Take care. Goodbye. We'll see you guys tomorrow.